You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
All right, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning. I think the day after the basketball games now are just going to be called, we'll call them foul audit days. Because I woke up this morning and I just quickly looked through the For You section of Twitter, and I saw a whole bunch of new ant rights out there. They were all looking at 2-second clips of fouls or things that they thought should have been fouls and things of that nature last night. So I think today is foul audit day.
So yesterday's thumbnail I made for the show with the official on the title
ended up being very prescient, Joey.
It was.
Did you have Jeffrey Anderson too, or was
I thought it was.
I think it was Jeffrey Anderson.
Yeah, that's fitting. He had a classic. Jeffrey Anderson needs a lot of television time.
He had some knees; they were high.
I'm sure we're going to talk about the officiating, and we'll have, I'm sure, an enlightening discussion about how they can't get the most simple calls correct, which is just incredible. But, I mean, there's about a million other ways to go with last night's game, too. So the officiating can be a small part of it, but there's a bigger story here. And for the purposes of this show, our show, the Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer show.
Okay, all right, come on.
Received a huge win last night. Miami of Ohio remains undefeated.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
it.
Rich Bisaccia.
Oh, well, yeah, that's an important win for Joey. I think that's a bit of a loss on my end of the scale. So they might replace their special teams coach
with a good person,
with someone who attempts to endeavor for the special teams to be better, which I don't particularly love. But I do love Miami of Ohio winning last night.
Just am worried about them. I'm worried about them. I know it's a big week for Oxford. We're going to talk to the guy on Friday and preview that, and talk about them. What is his name? Snavely?
Counselor Snavely?
Mr. That's Counselor.
Former Mayor Will Snavely.
Councilman Bill Snavely from Oxford, Ohio will join the show on Friday because it will be our city of the day. They do play at home on Friday.
But we got
your
in
Red
front
Hawks.
Of,
yeah.
We will have this interview when they are still undefeated.
And they made it to 26-0. I'm concerned about them though.
They were leaking oil all over the court.
I'm concerned
against UMass last night.
I am concerned that they go all the way to the MAC final and lose, and then we have to have a big discussion about whether they get in or not. And all the honks will say, "What? Their strength of schedule was 5,000," and then they won't let them into the tournament, and it'll be a very sad day for everybody.
I would love for us to be able to fast forward to directly this moment, because I still feel like if they're 32-1, they're going to get in.
I hope so. I hope that's the case. They deserve to get in if that's the case, but I know there will be a debate about it.
Sure.
Because then when they're not undefeated and they're not an automatic bid, people will start to look at their metrics and they will say, uh-oh, this is not good.
The debate will be, should we send 18 and 15 Texas?
That is correct, Schaefer.
Or should 32-1 Miami of Ohio go?
That
correct. Will be the debate.
It will be. And I will hate it. But I want everyone to be prepared.
And then Texas will go in the play-in round and lose by 37 points to whoever they play, like they did last year.
But that's the rub, actually, Schaefer. Because what happens is those teams that were at the center of the debates, they always win.
Well,
they always win their first round game. People are like, see?
technically, Texas lost last year. Now they took on another team where there was a debate in Xavier as to whether they should have been in or not. Now, didn't Xavier win in the first round last year? They were an 11th seed.
Was Xavier? Was Xavier a tournament team last year?
I don't think they
who
were.
Did Texas play? I thought they played Xavier. Maybe it wasn't Xavier. Was it another?
Yeah, Xavier beat Texas last year.
It was actually a really good game.
You're right. They lost to Illinois.
And so then they go on to play. Now, how this affects Nebraska is they're basically just throwing themselves at this 6 seed play-in round at this point. So,
whoa, you are down bad.
No, I don't know that they'll end up there, but it is I have some real concerns about where this thing is at.
Okay.
So we have plenty of time to get into that. I did want to start with a shout out for our friends in Oxford, Miami of Ohio, where we have talked about them. I dare to say
they made it
more than almost any other sports show that doesn't exist in Ohio.
Yeah, I don't even know that they're probably talking about it that much at sports shows in Ohio.
Well, certainly not in any parts of Ohio that don't really encompass
maybe podcasts. Oxford. There's got to be a Red Hawks.
We can't. Yeah, we're not trying to hone in on what the podcasts are doing.
That's right. That's why we're not on the podcast bracket.
Right. We didn't deserve to be on the podcast bracket. Yeah. But as far as talking about Miami of Ohio, I really wish that there was a way that you would just get statistics about where.
Me too. I've wanted this
someone
forever.
Would be where something gets inordinately discussed in other parts of the country, and I think we would be really high on the Miami of Ohio.
I agree, and we're proud of that fact here. We're also proud to be the show that, outside of maybe the Green Bay area, talks about Rich Bisaccia the most.
Oh, yes.
And so
there's definitely truth to that.
We have set aside 10 to 12 minutes for our intrepid producer, Joey Colbert.
Now, I assume he has a montage and a...
I will remember.
Exactly.
I was thinking of a montage, having that music in the background and just all the special teams' mistakes.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that.
Oh, disaster!
That would have been terrific.
Could have been fun, but that's okay. We'll let you do it. We'll just clear out for you, Joey. We'll run an ISO play, and you will
let him get to the rim.
You will have your moment at the end of the hour.
Unfortunately for you, someone tries to set an off-ball screen, and they're going to call foul, and it's going to go the other way. So.
Did you?
The foul that supposedly is a foul.
The good one, Joey. Right back at you.
It very well could be.
That supposedly was
a
foul.
I think everything was open for interpretation.
Well, okay, so I didn't see this until probably about an hour and a half after the video of Hoiberg slapping the camera out of the guy's face. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw it this morning. I didn't watch the second half. I went to sleep, but I saw
somebody
the video.
that rushed the court.
Yeah. It was. I don't know. I didn't see like the wide angle. I only saw it from the actual camera that got slapped view. But it was. I don't know I hope that it's not going to be a talking point today because I don't feel like it's.
You think it's Carl Pelini Texags all over again?
I don't think so. I hope we're not going down but we will wait and see if there's any conversation about it on the internet today. I imagine there will be at least a little bit.
I did not see this
mainly by
night.
Iowa fans.
I'll send it to you.
As far as I know,
there is a video that is circulating of a person shoving a phone in Fred Hoiberg's face. Him kind of like having a stone face, trying to get off the court, looking at the camera, quick slap, and then he's gone. He's out of it. He's trying to get off the court safely. I hope this isn't that big of a deal. All right. So we have a lot to get to today. Schaefer is down bad. Joey is throwing a parade for the departure of his dearly beloved Richard Bisaccia. Elsewhere today on the show, we'll be joined by Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald coming up at 8:30 today. He's written some interesting things lately. Maybe even we'll talk about Nebraska football with him.
He's been writing a little about Nebraska football.
Did you know?
No. Well, maybe we're going to say the same thing.
There's a press conference.
There's
tomorrow.
practices coming around the corner.
There's practice on Saturday, Schaefer.
I know.
And
wild,
there's Matt Rule talking, not on a podcast, not on a commercial, not on a whatever, a real press conference tomorrow with Holgo the Oko. and Rob Orich.
It would be sort of funny if he
Tomorrow.
did get up there and he's like, I've heard a lot of people don't want to hear from me. So we can make this short. We're going to start practice on Saturday. I'll see you then.
He is pretty hyper aware about the things that are being said about him. So it wouldn't surprise me if he made some sort of reference to that.
Yeah, no, that would be.
Hey, it's been a long time since I talked to you. Maybe some people like that. Maybe some people don't. I don't know. If we put odds on that almost exact phrase happening, I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty good.
At which point I would love if someone was like, hey, is Zach Gelb here? Can he,
You set up his podcast gear and you could just let one rip. So we have a lot to look forward to.
Rules make the podcast bracket?
I don't think it did.
Or not?
Great question. What is that called again?
House of Rules?
House rules. I don't think so.
Rules is our commenter in the.
Maybe somebody else got a phone call from a man.
Man, if that wasn't considered, I don't know what we're doing here.
I mean, it's got to be the most listened to.
No question.
All right, so Sam will join us at 8:30 today. Lauren Michelson coming up at 9:15. Are we sure Lauren's going to be here? She was in Iowa City last night. She'll be somewhere.
She's been very good about letting me know when she's unavailable. I'll text her. We'll wait until the 7 a.m.
More than likely, she's going to be, around in the Des Moines area.
Yeah.
Which we love.
Well, I mean,
Des Moines folks.
She probably, I don't know. They could drive like a portion of that back after last night. Like you get done at 11 or whatever, and you get
That's
back.
true. That is a classic move.
And then you just get up at 8 a.m. and she would still be on her way back though at that point. So you can get, as someone who did many of these on Fridays throughout roughly 2011 until 2019. Doing interviews in the car amongst your coworkers.
I love that.
I
loved asking you questions or Brunt's questions, and then I would also ask like, "Hey, ask BC what's going on as well," or ask Brunt's what's going on as well. Those were great.
The amount of times where at least a 2-minute could be killed off of a radio segment discussing the music that was playing,
the music and the snacks, and BC was always a Werther's original guy, and you guys always made fun of him for it. It's a very Brian Christopherson thing to do.
Yeah, I mean it. I learned the other day they make Werther's original popcorn. It's like a caramel corn that's Werther's flavored.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I saw some kids walking around with Werther's originals, and I thought, are we making a comeback here? Like not like children, but like 12.
They're just walking around showing it off.
12 to 15-year-olds. They're
just popping Werther's.
They were happy about it. I don't know what the situation was, but I remember thinking of Brian Christopherson in the moment.
Incredible.
I don't remember what it was, but I was like, wait a minute. Kids like Werther's? What's happening? I don't know. Keep an eye out. Watch out. So Lauren will join us at 9:15. Elsewhere today on the show, many Nebraska ball topics, angles, and thoughts, including but not limited to officiating, defense, offense, no special teams involved with Nebraska basketball, which is great. Crowds, court stormings. Did I mention officiating? What else?
Was it us that was discussing the reception that Sanford would have, or was that another show that I did this week?
We discussed it.
Yeah, I think we learned very quickly that Iowa.
I saw Josh's tweet last night. He was subtweeting us when he said, I couldn't believe that some people were saying that he might get a warm reception or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, he's a good kid, and
it does not matter.
It doesn't matter. He did not get a warm reception. It was very cold.
I'm not surprised by it, though, to the level of like the expletive chants with his name felt like that was pretty over the top.
A lot of bleeps. A lot of bleeps last night.
It was.
Also, was there something with the audio? It was a weird audio broadcast. It felt like the crowd was.
Oh, you mean Sean Morris?
Or maybe the crowd just wasn't very good.
It could have been the mixing.
The mixing of it.
Yeah.
Sean Morris was up in that thing.
Sean Morris had a night.
He was talking. He was saying a lot of stuff.
He gets a lot of words in per second.
I haven't seen much of Sean Morris this year.
I know. I was kind of surprised when he
was just doing an Omaha game like 2 days ago.
I feel like Nebraska,
like CBS Sports Network.
Nebraska used to get Sean Morris all the time. For
I know.
BTN games.
It would always be him or Bardo.
Yes.
And
Oh my-
where the hell is Bardo?
Don't care.
Where is Bardo?
It does not concern me in this life.
I will check 506 if he's on the lineup.
Stephen Bardo. What? Oh, okay. Hold on. I just saw a video on Facebook, December 12th. All right. So it says, point guard describes his life now, which means he's had some sort of a life change or something.
Yeah,
it looks like he might be doing videos on social media to maybe inspirational videos. I don't think he's doing games anymore.
I don't think I miss him.
Stephen Bardo. Man, what a time. Old man Doug writes in, I'm seeing way too many Iowa gear at the airport this morning. At the airport? Where's Doug at?
Apparently he's flying somewhere.
Why would they be? Why
Was
would
old man
Iowa
Doug flying out to Connecticut?
Why would Iowa people be at the airport?
The airport
use the airport?
is the closest airport for the Western Iowa folks.
I suppose. Okay. Anyway, elsewhere today on the show, we never did talk about the Big Ten's idiotic idea of the week. People are wondering on the internet if college baseball is having a moment. This is not a Nick fact. This is a real topic.
Okay.
Is college baseball having?
I am excited
a
to hear the explanation for a moment in February.
We have Schaefer. This topic, I hope that you really let loose and go for it in this one. Maybe we'll talk about it after the segment where we talk about refs. People arguing online about how many impressions they get.
Oh man! So
this is a great topic for you.
When I looked at the rundown last night, because I had a couple things I was going to add before, and then the game gets started, whatever, and then it's like after that
we got it.
We're covered. We're very well covered for today. I saw that. I saw who the tweet was from.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed out loud. Then I clicked on the tweet because, of course, I had to.
I know.
Like it was.
Yeah, it's
like,
tractor beam.
It was the most like, I can't go to bed yet. I need to. And then I scan the tweet and read through the BS of the person making the tweet. Laugh more when I see the community notes, and then laugh harder at all of the people that are just groveling. We'll get into this. That are just.
I apparently just missed the laugh.
Yeah, no. And then I was like, well, I better figure out how to do this so that when we have this discussion, I can throw my name in the hat here too. So I am prepared.
I cannot wait to have the conversation. We will wonder about some things that Matt Rule might be talking about tomorrow at his press conference. Of course, a bunch of angles on the Nebraska ball game. Michigan beat the living hell out of Purdue last night. So we could discuss that as well. And we have a Creighton game tonight. I don't know why UConn has decided that this is the game where they're going to pull out all the stops. They're like, we need this to be the greatest crowd of all time. Like, they're bored. Obviously, they're beating everybody in the conference. They're like,
they lost to St. John's.
Creighton's had our number, but that was in MSG, right?
Yeah, they're still waiting for the return game.
Creighton's had our number. We need to just load it up against these guys. So it's $2 beer night, and Hurley's appearing in all these videos, and they got shirts and towels.
You think this
all
was when Creighton was expected to be a top 25 team?
No, they're just starting this push.
Did it?
They're just starting this push over the last 4 days.
Surprised they did not wait until the St. John's game to pull something like that.
But Creighton's just going to stroll on.
Maybe they're worried that Creighton is so unappealing to watch. They need to bring fans into the arena.
Maybe they'll have a DJ or something like that. Yeah.
I know of a place that's done that.
Come out to section 120. We have a DJ during the game. So we will talk about that tonight as well. And maybe we'll get to Schaefer's Creighton question.
I bet we don't.
Maybe.
How long has that been up there?
It's been a few weeks.
Week 2.
Yeah, at least.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
At least. Well, you never know.
It got deleted off the rundown last week. And I was like, well, I'm going to put this back.
It reappeared.
Just in case.
You can't kill the Schaefer Creighton.
We want to have the conversation.
All right. We are off and running on a Wednesday. Thanks for being with us today. By the way, call or text 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Email Connor, Mike, Joey, 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank inbox. Good morning to the YouTubers today. How we doing? Stick around. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, a few things going on, as always, on 1620thezone.com. How about cold, hard cash? Enter online 1620thezone.com for your chance to win our Get Your Bleep Together 5K sweepstakes running through February 24th. Head online right now, 1620thezone.com. All right, I promise we got a bunch of different topics about Nebraska basketball. I know people want to weigh in on it. We're gonna just give me a few more minutes and we'll get to it because we have to clear out for Joey to do the Rich Bisaccia thing, and I want to give us more than like 5 or 10 minutes to talk about. So here we go. By the way, old man Doug is texting a lot this morning. We have found out where he's going, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Any guesses on where old man Doug is headed?
Dallas.
Wrong. He's not. It doesn't appear to be a banking conference.
Going to Florida.
Close. I mean, not geographically closer, but vibe closer.
So he's going to the
California.
West Coast?
Further.
He's going to
Hawaii.
Wow.
That's what old man Doug says. And then he sent us Creighton stinks and then a series of letters and numbers, which would seem to be an accident. And then he said a 4 seed is a whole lot different than a 2 or 3. You're going to get a power 4 team at that seed line. At a 4?
Not at a 4.
I don't think
you're
so.
not getting a 13. I
don't think so.
Maybe.
Now you're going to get a better mid-major team
Sure.
at a 4.
Yeah.
But there seems to be some concern
They got to win some games
that they're a 4. Right.
Like that's the
so
problem.
I was wondering last night, and then it just came across like it was just a gift. I was wondering when the bracket top 16 thing comes out. It's this weekend.
Yeah, no, I know.
So I think they'll still be in there.
Yeah, they might hang on to 15 or 16.
Yeah. And traditionally that has been those have been the teams.
You want to certainly be in that thing to start with. And it's not that they won't have opportunities to win games. It's just that in their current run of play,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be hard to beat some teams if you can't do certain things.
Okay. So we will discuss that. But for now, we have to talk about this. This is not a Nick Grimm topic, by the way. He did not write this. I don't even know if he knows that this tweet existed. Maybe he does, though. There's a guy from the PGA Tour. He's
so this is the other part of this. Like I did not click this tweet because I wanted to just experience it all in its form. But I saw PGA Tour and I was like, okay.
Senior manager content development at the PGA Tour.
Okay.
All right. So he is wondering out loud if college baseball is having a moment. He says, been seeing a lot of tweets intimating the same after opening weekend. My fandom has increased over the last about 3 years. Feels like there's a couple reasons. Curious of others' thoughts. He bullet points like 7 things. Quicker transition for top players to MLB. I think he's right about that. ESPN and ESPN Plus can now see a ton of games on streaming, except for if your team is in the Big Ten Conference. Then they have their own crap and it's garbage. College baseball stadiums rock, and it's a super affordable ticket. The regular season is catching up to the popularity that the College World Series has long enjoyed. The strength of mid-majors, non-conference play, 3-game series. He says, what am I missing? So I've made this case around the World Series over the last couple of years. I feel like college baseball, and for the record, I do think there seems to be more chatter about it these days, more interest, and I think a big reason is the first part that he mentioned. We had a couple of years ago, we had a moment where a bunch of guys were dominant at the College World Series and in the college game, and then immediately showed up in Major League Baseball like within 12 months.
Yep.
And I thought that was a big deal for the sport. So I think we're living off of that still. But I also think I've said for a couple of years that I feel like that sport feels the closest to like college athletics, quote unquote, purity as we could probably have with the sport, while it still is a sport that people care about, meaning it's kind of like how it used to be. And it's not this like money grabbing, NIL, transfer portal, like whatever.
Still very much there, just very, very under discussed.
Way under discussed. And not nearly as prevalent as it is in football and basketball.
Sure, and a large part of that is
like we're not talking about dudes coming back who are playing professionally in college baseball.
No,
not yet anyway.
Right. Some of it, to that last point, and then I'll work back through the start of it. Some of it with that is it just doesn't have the same coverage sphere. So it's never going to have quite the same spotlight on certain things.
Which is a good thing because that means it exists in a regional manner like college football used to be.
And
remember
it exists,
pay-per-views?
It exists in a way in which you don't have people who then are as motivated to try to seek out the waivers or to, kind of create these buzzy
They're like,
headlines.
There's no money here. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, and there definitely is. I mean, if, you go down to the teams in all the usual suspects from Florida State to Clemson to,
trust me, I walked through Arkansas's facility about 8 months ago.
Arkansas is not investing in football at the same level of other SEC teams because they're investing in basketball and baseball.
Correct.
So there's definitely money to be found there. It's just it's just sort of in a different form. Going to the start. I mean, you said what you did about the College World Series as someone who, prior to being in this chair in a full-time capacity, had spent several years, just filling in the Omaha Baseball Village.
It seemed like you were starting to get into it more.
Oh, I have over the last few years. I mean, I've said this multiple times. One of the most excited, followed by one of the most delivered, followed by having to experience it through both radio and then getting home to watch the last 6 innings on television. Skeens Louder, which I was already jacked about because as the massive dork that I am, I knew these guys, knew of them well before they reached.
You're kind of like a weirdly interesting baseball draft guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I play in a super involved fantasy baseball league, so it behooves me to know who some of these individuals are, and then I know about the draft and all of that too. And I knew that you were talking about the 2 best pitchers in baseball at that point in time, and as a guy who loves pitching to start with, and they have different styles. Like you have so much into all of that. And you could also have made the case 2 of the better offenses that were playing, and you run through the list of names that were playing in that game too. Like pretty sure Tommy White, you have Nick Kurtz, you have Dylan Cruz. I mean, 2 of those guys are in the majors, and Cruz and Kurtz.
I think Trey Morgan's in AAA,
right? And White is in AA or AAA for the Athletics. So you have legitimate great players up and down. So these pitchers are going through tremendous lineups, and then it becomes as it often does in a pitching battle, it becomes a real strategic thing and all of that. All of that to say, the CWS has had a number of very, very good baseball games. Like not just Skeens Louder, but you have this sort of huge.
Well, we had last year
awesome
with
moment.
LSU and Arkansas,
right? Yeah. And you have these moments. There was the Florida State Tennessee thing where the umpire, I think, basically just choked in a very, very horrendous fashion if you're Florida State, and Tennessee made that stand up in a totally different way. You had a ton of games come down to 1 run. So you have all of this, but people like you and I have known for a long time, one of the sneaky great weekends in sports is the opening regional weekend, because you have wall-to-wall baseball, wall-to-wall drama, walk-offs, grand slams, bat flips, outstanding performances. You have all of this. Like, if you've been looking, you know that it's out there. I don't know that there's a singular, moment, and I'm always sort of skeptical when I find myself more interested in stuff that other people are too.
Mm-hmm.
But the sport, just like baseball in general, is very healthy. Now, unlike Major League Baseball, which is run by a dunce and careening towards a work stoppage in 2027.
Yikes. Did you see the baseball news yesterday?
Yeah, I was going to throw that on the topic sheet.
I don't have much to say about it.
Tony Clark seems like a great guy.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, college baseball has, I hope this sustains. Yeah, and locally here, I mean,
it's hard because we're just right in the heart of it, and we sort of always at least keep an eye on it no matter what.
But the Big Ten adding Oregon and UCLA and USC is great for the conference. It feels like the conference itself has invested a little bit more in baseball with all the TV money that's come in.
I would also say that it's still a sport where you feel like if now Coastal was really good last year, but like if an underdog gets really hot, they could still have a chance to win a championship, and maybe that thought is gone from a variety of other college sports. That
Coastal played the best baseball out of anybody to get to that final, and then ran against
the problem
a
with
great team.
The problem with them is like those two pitchers that they had are unbelievable. I mean, Morrison and Flukie. Flukie will be back this year.
We're not hockey guys, but the equivalent to this is sometimes you just run into a great goaltender, and it changes the complexion of everything. LSU is on a heater when it comes to pitching at the moment, and it wasn't the former Twins pitching coach now the LSU.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are getting hired from college baseball.
Some of that, comes from there. So I'm excited for it. More college baseball is good.
There's some polarizing teams out there, as Mike says on YouTube as well. There's teams that, Tennessee might not be exactly the villain anymore without Tony V, but or maybe that continues on for a while. But you have a good dynamic, I think.
I think that the sport is in a great place. It's just I didn't expect that other people were sort of as juiced about it. Now, I'll admit, like, part of the problem for college baseball is that the season feels like it takes a long time to get to where it's really exciting sometimes. So you have to have a team or a reason to kind of dive into the midweek or all of that. And it's kind of
you don't have to.
Well, you don't have to.
Just ignore it.
But it's, like there's a lot of fun games in February, and then the SEC has fun games throughout the weekend. Seemingly, unless you're a real diehard, like you kind of have to work to find other stuff.
And there's something for everybody. Like, there are some people like young Nick, who like the oddities of it. Like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of weird garbage that is. There is Iowa playing a home game in February yesterday against UW Platteville, who's a Division III team, and won by 28 or something.
34-5.
Nobody loves garbage scheduling in baseball as much as Iowa.
But they're like, we want to play. So did you know that Iowa doesn't have a Division I baseball team within 2 hours of Iowa City?
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. It was kind of surprising to me.
Well, Iowa State has no team.
Right.
And
I guess I didn't really think about it, but I just figured that's really isolated.
Does Northern Iowa have a team?
No, I don't think so.
So then, those are your universities.
Yeah.
The closest would probably be
they play the crap.
Wisconsin doesn't have a team, so it's not like Madison would be.
They play the crap Chicago teams,
right?
Like the UIC,
which Nebraska used to schedule like this.
Yeah.
We should
Illinois,
ask Sam
Chicago.
McEwen.
That's who Nebraska beat 50-3 that one time.
Yeah, I was going to say we should ask Sam McEwen about the scheduling philosophies of the guy who came before Dave Van Horn. I've heard him wax on this, and it was pretty hilarious.
It's very. That's why they won that game 50-2 or 50-3 or whatever it was. All right. So maybe college baseball is having a moment. Just keep that in the back of your head as we move on throughout the late winter into spring and into early summer when it gets here in June. All right. Back after this with Joey's goodbye to Rich Bisaccia on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. It is Wednesday morning, 6:48 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. You know those, Schaefer, I assume we're on the same page here of really, really hating the corner of the internet where people do like something happens, a news story happens, and then they grab their phone and then they record their reaction to it. It's like just 30 seconds of them saying, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I mean,
I put Rich Bisaccia in the Google thing because I wanted to pull up his Wikipedia page, and there's a video from a YouTube Packer fan, and it says a Packers fan reaction to Rich Bisaccia stepping down, and I half expected it to be Joey.
oh,
No, I would not do that.
Good job by you, Joey.
yeah, Joey has his
not-
own platform, and he saved this. Joey didn't even know the news for seemingly an hour or so after it came out.
No,
right?
I did not know until Josh Odson responded to Jacob Badilla's tweet.
He was on
Or
his walk with his non-flannels.
Yeah, fake flannel.
Yeah, that's how I found out. Josh tagged me
Well,
on
we found
a
out there wasn't
response.
even walks.
I mean, the walks are documented, right? We see pictures of Joey out walking.
I was walking yesterday. I did not document
The
anything.
walks are real.
So the walks are real.
The
The
walks
flannel.
are
4.5 miles both days.
And maybe the real
Wow.
Rich Bisaccia was the friends we made along the way. He decided that he was going to step down yesterday, happily, according to Joey Colbert, who has been really calling for his departure for several weeks now. Before the
Since
end,
the show's inception.
before that.
It took way too long for this to happen. You are already a month through the off season, and that's when it finally happened. You could have used this time to find someone who could take over special teams, and it just took forever.
Do you know that Rich Bisaccia coached at Wayne State?
Yeah,
once?
I told you guys last month he started his career over at Wayne State running special
You
teams.
believe that? You believe that? And then it was that birthed his long career in the NFL, which it looks like ended yesterday. So, Joey, go ahead. Floor is yours. Say what you need to say about Rich Bisaccia.
Well, special teams was the main culprit to the Packers' downfall this season. Pretty much, I mean, injuries was one thing, but in terms of wins and losses, mainly the losses, it's been the special teams. It prevented the Packers from winning the NFC North. We could go back to the first loss against the Cleveland Browns. They had a failed assignment that allowed the Browns to block a field goal that could have won a very bad game in Cleveland. The next game at Dallas, the blocked extra point that was kind of the deal breaker for that tie. And then just not being sure which kicker to throw out there. They had an injured McManus kicking a 65-yarder in terrible conditions at Green Bay. And then the onside
You're
kick.
just listing all of Rich Bisaccia's mistakes.
Well, the onside kick against the Chicago Bears, they had 3 timeouts. You're the associate head coach. You had an opportunity to tell your friend Matt LaFleur to call a timeout just to get yourself ready. And then you put the guy with the Guardian cap, known for concussion problems, there to recover onside kicks on a play where concussions are very likely to happen. I mean, it happens.
They're sticking their heads in there.
Yep.
That's for sure.
And then the 2 missed field goals in the wild card game against the Chicago Bears pretty much sealed the deal. And that's the second time a Rich Bisaccia team on the Packers had their playoffs ended from a missed field goal. They had
now,
Anders Carlson against the 49ers late in the fourth quarter where they could have gone up by 7.
I will say
That was a deal breaker.
to many people's point, they would argue that Packers special teams, Packers X special teams has been a thing for a long
It's
time
been
now. and it
like that for a
predates
decade.
Rich Bisaccia. You're just excited to get a new face in there.
Yeah,
right?
and it's
New scapegoat is what it sounds
yeah, a new scapegoat. I was going to say it's not going to guarantee anything, but at least they're.
I wonder what the Trumpian nickname for the next guy will be. You know, something. I can't wait.
We'll find out.
I
We
cannot
will
wait.
find out. But it took way too long for this to happen. You could have used that extra month to potentially lure a guy who turned special teams around at a college school in the middle of America.
Oh no!
Offer him a lot of money.
He's gone. He went to USC.
I know.
and
He
I
wouldn't
know.
have gotten to be a part-time linebackers coach too. He might have turned it down.
That's true.
But the one thing that triggered me was Matt LaFleur's statement on Richard Bisaccia stepping down. He said, while we are disappointed to lose a person and a coach as valuable as Rich, I should say old man Richard, we respect his decision to step down from the Packers. Rich was a tremendous resource to me and our entire coaching staff, who had a profound impact to our players and our culture throughout the building. We can't thank him enough for his contributions to our team over the last 4 years. We wish Rich.
That made
in
you
his
mad?
Do you feel like they should have gone?
The part
should have been nicer.
No, the part that says we are disappointed, that tells me he did not want to lose Rich Bisaccia. He wanted to keep the problems on the team.
No, we are disappointed to be right. What's the full
Yeah, no,
sentence?
Joey's disappointed that he even used the word disappointed instead of we are thrilled that we didn't have to fire.
Joey, it's okay. I think that's just what you say when guys leave. Like I think it's okay.
I think it's more the fans, me and the 539,000 other shareholders of the Green Bay Packers
Schaefer's
rallying
just steaming.
together, telling the front office change needs to happen, and it finally did.
My favorite part about when
Now we got a
running,
new scapegoat.
when you're running through the litany of things that went wrong for the special teams coach, it includes a game in which they put up a total of 13 points against Cleveland. It includes a game against Dallas where they didn't get defensive stops.
Well,
And yet we're coming back to the kickers.
I'm talking
the
about wins and
special teams
losses.
coach.
Games could be bad, and you had a chance to get a couple more points just to
Sure.
get out of those games. And I'm talking about the
Notably
Browns,
the playoff game.
in the playoff game, the Cowboys ending in a tie, the Panthers game where they missed a 40-some-yard field goal. But it's just
Go
not.
Panthers.
There you go. But it's not the field goal personnel. It's also like the penalties on special teams, on the returns, the coverage. The Packers only got 2 special teams touchdowns since 2014. One was off of a kick return from Keyshawn Nixon against the Minnesota Vikings in 2022.
Mhm.
And then
that.
another one was a block punt return for a touchdown, Josh Jackson against the Minnesota Vikings, which famously ended in a tie.
Yep. Basically, the Minnesota Vikings are the only reason the Packers have any success.
Thank
on
you,
special
Shafe.
teams.
Thank you, Shafe.
So, could you not make the argument
Fire
though
that
that
special teams
even
coordinator.
more than the special teams coordinator, some of the issues stems with the identification of who is doing the kicking and playing on special teams?
McManus.
It is. When McManus was hurt middle of the season, they had another kicker who was about to start a substitute teaching career. They throw him in, and he hit the franchise record 61-yard field goal against Arizona Cardinals. And then the next game, they brought McManus back, who was not 100%. He was missing kicks, and he was not looking good. And he was just there ready to
Bring back
get back in the game.
Bring back the teacher.
I want to know
The,
now.
the only bright spot on the Packers special
teacher?
teams is the punter, Daniel Whelan.
Okay.
He's a top 5 punter in the NFL. He's great.
Familiar
at-
with him because of how many times he's had to punt because of Jordan Love's offense against Minnesota. Anyways,
Jordan Love. Oh, at least he didn't throw an interception. They put
No,
him up.
no.
Yep, it's good.
But I'm happy, but it should have happened right at the end of the season, right after it was all said and done.
Question from Mike that I think I can rule on. Will the graphic with Joey and Old Man Richard go away now? Sad.
There's an update.
Oh, really? Can we see it?
Joey's been at work.
Yeah.
Well, when we go to break. When we go to
People,
break.
All right, stick
people are a
around for the
little
break.
disappointed about the lack of rant gong from you on this.
I gave it to him. I gave him one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm letting Connor take control of it.
You need it. You need
I just saw from Sindelar, who I've never met still. One of these days, I'm going to meet Sindelar.
He's a great guy.
That's what I hear.
You should
I hear
hang
about
out with
his travel horror story all the time.
his travel horror story.
That's
Like
the
one-
promo from from Matt.
the Castaway thing. Yeah. Sindelar spends most of his time driving almost aimlessly around the state of Nebraska.
Incredible.
And he has chosen us to listen to.
That's,
which
we
thank
appreciate it.
We thank him for. All right. We'll be back. Make sure you stick around for this break. I can't wait to see this new graphic if you're watching along with us on YouTube. We'll be back 7 o'clock hour. Yep. Time to talk about Nebraska ball on 1620 The Zone. All right, 7 o'clock hour. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. Sindelar writes in on YouTube. The graphic was a little confusing. Did he get fired into retirement?
I fired him.
Joey fired him, Rich Bisaccia, into retirement.
I fired him, but the Packers did not.
It is unclear as to whether he's actually going to be retiring, but he's stepped down, which doesn't mean fired, but it kind of does.
I fired him, but the Packers did not honor my decision.
Interesting. By the way, here's this. Listen to this breaking news. Schaefer, I wonder how this hits your brain. This is from On3. Imagine the impressions.
Whoa. I bet they're high.
Breaking. Northern Illinois head coach Thomas Hammock is leaving for an administrative offensive assistant role with the Seahawks.
I wish I was more surprised. I think Thomas Hammock is a really good football coach. He really was struggling with where NIL and
getting killed out there.
I mean, the switch to the Mountain West was going to be very difficult.
Yep.
I think for them for a variety
Northern
of reasons.
Illinois, a one-time prestigious mid-major, like whatever you want to call it, job. And I don't like who wants it now.
Well, there's no money that's really involved with it. Like, you produce great players and you can't retain any of them. I would not be shocked if they called Dan Jackson to see what his interest would be to go from South Dakota State. He coached there under Hammock.
He might be in a better spot.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, be tough to turn down an FBS job if you have that opportunity.
Probably.
But it is I don't know him personally, but I have followed his career just because of
they recruit
Dan
around here.
Yeah, and
yeah.
Like, just from what I can tell, he thinks about things differently. He thinks about the sport differently. He recruited differently, and they haven't been as successful as I think he would have hoped, as the alums there would have hoped. But the support hasn't been near what it used to be under Dave Doran. It'll be fascinating. I wonder the other name that they could go do. They could just pluck from. We could talk about this on the crossover. Even though he hates talking about sports, but he loves talking about Chicago.
Jordan Lynch. He's the first guy I Googled who is the coach at Mount Carmel High School.
Yeah.
And isn't that what's his name?
No, that's so he's
Carmel Catholic.
He's at Carmel Catholic.
Okay,
he's a Corsair. Mount Carmel is where Claude and Puma played.
A lot of Carmels out there. Jordan Lynch, famous Northern Illinois quarterback.
Yeah,
feels like the guy.
He was like fourth in the Heisman.
It's significant to me. It's probably not significant in the college football world because he's someone that I've been rooting for. I mean, they beat Notre Dame. Like, he's had some big moments in his career.
Yep.
And he was a former running backs coach and I think Super Bowl champion with the Ravens. Like, this is a guy that for him to only be an assistant offensive coach strikes me as he wanted some time to figure out what he wants to do next. He will be an NFL position coach if he wants it. It's just a question of, college football might have just broken him in a way. Like, you'd hear him talk or you'd see different things that he was saying, and he came at it a very different way.
College football be breaking people.
I mean, it's kind of like Nebraska. It's not for everyone.
It's only for the people that really, really want to do it until they get worn out.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to do it anymore.
Which is sad because guys like that are usually great for the sport. And then when this happens, but
what about Rich Bisaccia for Northern Illinois?
Now he needs a break from football.
Start the hashtag Rich Bisaccia for Northern Illinois.
Would Joey hate watch Northern Illinois then at that point?
Probably. He would like to see
like
how
a Tuesday night they're
go.
taking on Toledo and he's over here just like rooting for Jason Candle and Toledo.
No, or taking on
Sacramento State.
Still there anymore?
What are the other teams in the Mountain West now? Air Force.
North Dakota
that's
State.
right. I forgot about that. Yeah. I mentioned it and then completely forgot. You get a North Dakota State game.
Nevada, UNLV, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Watch 11 p.m. Northern Illinois football.
Yeah. College
on
football
Hawaii
is so
spectrum.
weird now. Everybody's in the wrong conference these days. All right. Speaking of teams that are in the wrong conference, Nebraska. Get them back to the Big 12. Thank you, Bill Moose. But not really a fact. I guess maybe a little bit of a factor.
I had a guy in my mentions last night saying this is why Bill Moose wanted to leave. And then his very next tweet was, and he's a Kansas State fan for some reason. And his very next tweet was, And the Big Ten's terrible compared to the Big 12. And it's like, well, I don't know that it's terrible.
I don't know that it's terrible either. In fact, Iowa beating Nebraska last night in basketball might show how, not terrible.
Like, there's a good chance it has maybe the same amount, if not one more bid from overall teams in the tournament. Now, I will say, if you ask me, do I think the national champion has a better chance of coming out of the Big 12 or the Big 10? I'm going to say the Big 12.
Yeah.
So
I have some more candidates there.
There's also some historical precedent there.
There is. Yeah, don't hang your hat on Purdue to win a national championship. Right. I'll tell you that. But maybe hang it on Michigan. We could get to that as we go on.
Michigan was hanging it on Purdue.
Oh, they sure were last night.
That game was not as close as it finished.
Correct. All right, so Nebraska basketball. Where do you want to start here? With the loss last night to Iowa, 57-52, Nebraska falls to, they lose their fourth game in 6 games. They haven't put a pelt on the wall in a long, long time now. It's been about 6 weeks since that. Well, I guess it has since the Illinois road game or the Michigan State home. Yeah, so I guess it has been about 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
Since Nebraska really put a pelt on the wall. They lost to Michigan. They lost to Illinois. They lost to Purdue. You could sort of excuse each of those away in their own way.
Yeah, which is part of the problem now at this point.
And now a loss to Iowa last night. They're 11-4 in the league. They're out of the running for the conference championship. Still in the running for a triple bye,
right?
Which is important. And you're thinking about seeding and stuff like that as well. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with kind of this, because I think there's a lot of different angles that'll be taken here, and you're going to get a lot of people talking about offensive rebounds, which was a problem again for
11-2
for Nebraska last night, particularly when you think about the 2 that allowed them to just run an additional 45 seconds off the clock
late
with 2:15 left to go or whatever it was. So there's that. But I want to go here. I mean, I thought, and I'd be curious where you'd come down on this. I thought Nebraska's defense played fantastic yesterday in a way that, Iowa shot 33%. Bennett Sturts was about the only thing that they had going for him from an offensive perspective.
But that was kind of the deal. I mean, that
was
yeah.
And I get that. So let me get to where
you're right.
Let me get to where I'm going with this. Their defense was really, really good, except there's one category in this where Iowa outshone Nebraska, and it's the whole difference in the game. And they both had 12 turnovers. Iowa had 13 points off of turnovers. Nebraska forced 12 turnovers and only scored 3 points off. That has to be the lowest that they've had all year.
I wonder if you did the math.
Absolutely has to be the lowest.
How many of them were dead ball turnovers and live ball turnovers? Like, what Nebraska really needed to do last night was get steals and runouts and get out in transition.
So the thing is, they would get steals and then they turned it over immediately themselves.
Well, and then there was a couple missed layups last night that,
right.
Hoiberg had one that I just, he finishes 100% of the time and didn't.
Mast had one coming off of blowing by the guy.
Berkay had another. Berkay had another biffed one, I think. Let me check I could check the dunks and layups. Gosh,
well, I mean,
they had him at 12 for 14 on dunks and layups.
You had moments where you would get a steal and Rink Mast ends up with the ball at center court and he just wants to get rid of it right away and he throws it out of bounds. You had a couple where you get a steal and Frager doesn't really know where he wants to go with it. It sort of just ends up with a aimless possession after you had numbers going the other way. You had opportunities in this game. Nebraska, after sort of again, this is now the 3rd game in a row that they have had a horrible start to the game, which it was something they hadn't done all year. They, in conference play at least. I mean, they against some of the non-con teams.
And I thought that was so important last night because they needed to play on their terms.
And then
they needed to. If you can get Iowa, that team who plays that way, especially against Nebraska who plays that way, if you can get them out to like a 15-7 deficit early. That's a big deal because they're not a team that's built to come back.
Well, and that was the other thing. When Nebraska finally made their kind of run and they got ahead, they couldn't ever add to it.
Nope.
They led 42-40. They had Iowa scoreless for a while. There was a lot made of how many minutes Nebraska went without a field goal. I mean, Iowa had long stretches themselves. I mean, they were, and this is part of their recipe. They choke you down. They get to the free throw line, all of that. I mean, they basically made a couple shots that allowed them to kind of extend a lead, and then Nebraska just didn't finish offensive possessions. Yep. And for them to have
they didn't finish defensive possessions either.
Yeah, I mean, they could have played, yes, in the sense that they weren't getting rebounds.
Yeah.
They allowed too many extra baskets or extra opportunities. But it really just came down to, for me, like, you played more than well enough to win this game defensively. You needed a couple guys to make shots. And Sam Hoiberg missed several wide open 3-pointers. Cale Jacobson made the most difficult 3 that he took out of the 4 attempts that it was.
The late in the first half one.
And so I guess, you take that, but he had several wide open ones. It was a night where it was going to be hard to get Sanford open because of how they were going to defend him and all of that. And that's a whole other conversation.
We'll have it.
But you needed Rink Mass to make a shot. At one point in this game, you had a total of 2 points from Rink Mass and 6 points from Jamarcus Lawrence. And you need better than that from these guys in this situation. And I get that Iowa is a good defensive team. Nebraska had opportunities that they just simply could not or were unable. And then it just feels like they get sped up and they did things that they haven't done all year up until the last handful of games. And this is where my concern is sort of going forward. One of the things that was remarkable about this team, and we talk about connectedness and all of this other stuff, and it's all great in the ether and that. You know what they actually did in some of these games? They finished games. Well, they finished the end of second halves against Ohio State, against Indiana, against Michigan State, 3 tournament teams.
Well, baked in there was their ability to just sustain moving tides, right? Mm-hmm. They just, the thing that was so impressive to me was that they were just the same all the time. Boom, boom. They were just the same. Doesn't matter what kind of defensive team you were playing, what kind of athleticism you were getting, what kind of style of game. It was just we're going to do our thing. Boom, boom, boom. And to what you just said is definitely something that's popped out over the last couple of games. They just seemed a little bit bothered.
They are playing tight.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like at times they'll have units on the court that are doing the same,
there was a lot of frustration.
The same offense.
There was some frustration stuff. I mean, it shows a lot of the times where, you get a good shot or something like that, don't get the result, don't get the rebound, and then you commit a frustration foul 80 feet away from the basket or something like that. There was 1 or 2 of those last night. There was the specific one that I wrote down was the Lawrence one where he was grabbing on the rebound, and then ultimately the Iowa guy got it. And he tried to draw he flopped.
Yeah, Lawrence had several last night where I was just like, dude, don't.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do.
They got under their skin a little bit.
Fouled. He gets fouled coming through the lane. He throws himself on the floor. And you know how I feel about this. I get mad when I see it from Braden Smith. Bennett Sturts was doing it to a small level last night. Not Braden Smith-esque, but to a small level last night. I don't want to see that from Jamarcus Lawrence. One of the reasons that I like what Nebraska does is they don't act. They don't feel compelled to do this extra stuff. And so I wasn't just, there's something that just feels off about the vibe of that team when they're on the court right now. And it was even that way in a 19-point win against Northwestern, where it just certainly isn't what it was when it was humming. It's not even what it was when they played Illinois. They were in that game and they ran up against a better team.
Do you think now let's throw some stuff at the wall here? Because I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. It just the vibe feels really different right now. Some of it is just you're playing better.
It is much harder for them to just run an offense.
And you're in a tough stretch right now because of the opponents that you're playing. But getting to the root of this, why is this the case? And the only thing that I could think of is something that I threw out the window as a possibility several weeks ago. I said, I'm not worried about this team, reading their newspaper clippings or anything like that. And now I'm going back and I'm thinking what changed? And, you go back to that Purdue game when one of the takeaways was Nebraska feels like the hunted or whatever. And they were definitely the hunted last night. Now those are tough teams and tough environments and stuff like that. The Purdue
again, they still don't have a bad loss,
it just kind of feels not the chemistry.
They're
they like
blinking.
each other. Yeah, they're blinking
when they haven't been blinking all year, and that bothers me.
I don't know what the origin of it is. It's hard to figure out.
I thought last night was a perfect opportunity for Nebraska's defense and the way that Nebraska plays, to go into a building that you knew was going to be a pretty raucous environment against a team that you knew exactly what Iowa was. Iowa did nothing in that game that you wouldn't have it seen on film, wouldn't have been prepared for, and yet they looked unbelievably frazzled from the start, from the physicality that you knew you were going to get immediately. Like immediately. And they didn't match it early on, which is problematic, because I don't know what you need to know going into that game that isn't, hey, they're going to be up in you every single time. And you already know that, and this isn't even this isn't even part of the officiating thing. You already know that it's going to be uneven. That's just part of college basketball. The way that it might get officiated in the first half is different than the second half. The way that it's called on one possession is different than the next. You know that. And you know that Iowa is just basically going to be in your grill the entire time. And yet Nebraska, when they started that game, seemed shocked. Like legitimately shocked by what they were facing.
The only way to fight that stuff is like, you're right. There's just teams like that want to grind you down and wear you down, and they want to draw fouls in the offensive end, or they want to funnel it to one guy in the case of Iowa last night. And then on defense, they're just going to do all of the little things throughout the entire game to make it really difficult for you to move, to make it really difficult for you to do anything. That's what they want to do. They want to ugly up and muddy up a basketball game. The only way to beat it for I would say, Nebraska on the pretty to ugly scale is more pretty, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska.
That's what their offensively freedom of movement thing. That's their deal. The only way to beat it and to overcome it is, given all that you just said, is to get a little bit ugly. Like you have to be
meet them where they stand.
You gotta be a little bit tougher.
Yeah,
and and for some reason that element to this team just has faded ever so slightly. And
I don't know why.
I mentioned it last week, or so. I was like, I just don't know. They just don't have that teeth to them right now.
Right.
And they got to find it before this goes further.
And I don't know where that went, because prior to that, and it's not like what Iowa did last night, they have already played in a game like that in Michigan State. They already played in a similar version against a better team in Illinois, where it's going to just be a physical fight at times, and you have to be willing to dig in and do a little bit more. You also have to make shots. I mean, they just didn't do that in a big enough clip last night, so there's that aspect of it. But this was also a game where it's not like Iowa has this incredible big man, and yet Rink Master was unable to get much done inside until late in the game again. And there was times where he was getting a guard on him in the post, and he still couldn't back him down or whatever he needed to do. It just felt like Nebraska came into that game with the idea that they could run their normal stuff and it would just work fine. And then they immediately got punched in the face and struggled to kind of like react to, okay, this is the game we're in. How are we going to play this?
Yeah.
And to the point where, I get there's a ton of frustration with how Bryce Sanford's defended. And it was particularly bad last night, unless you were Sean Morris, who just never acknowledged any of it. Literal jersey being dragged where you can see it on television. Whatever. Great defending. So that's just happening. But that's been happening.
It's always happening.
For what?
It's always happening to
8
everyone.
Games now, minimum?
You just got to pile through it. Like that's the only way.
This is where I think Frager not being 100% is problematic, because if he didn't have the same burst last night.
It had to be a Frager night last night. I felt like going into it had to be a good Frager night, because I just felt like Iowa was going to ice all the freedom stuff Nebraska is trying to do on offense. And so it had to be like an individual playmaking with the basketball night. And Frager made some horrific decisions.
Yeah, I mean, he played like a freshman.
Some horrific decisions last night.
And it hurt you there. I thought it needed to be. We saw some of this before for Nebraska against Ohio State and in particular Ohio State, Michigan State. This is where I felt like Jamarcus Lawrence could have been a better player for you. And I'm not trying to pick on anyone individually, and it's not anybody's specific fault that this didn't go the way that it did. It was a collective team failure. It's just that when you play the defense that they did and you hold Iowa to 33% shooting,
Yep.
and again, you're in a rock fight and you weren't prepared from that from the opening bell, because again, it just didn't feel like that.
They were a little too easy to stop.
I'm just a little surprised by it. And then it makes me just wonder, like, okay, you going forward, you're going to get you're going to get Penn State and Maryland. Those should be wins. I'm not really particularly worried at home that they won't be. They will probably end up being double-digit wins. You're going to go play a UCLA team who's going to do a lot of what Iowa did.
They just got absolutely killed last night. By
Even
the way.
before you play that UCLA team, which got absolutely killed last night, it's a big night for the state of Michigan. You're going to get a USC team that's more athletic than you in every facet. Less skilled maybe in some ways, but they're going to play a defensive style that's going to force you to have to work through a bunch of, like, if this is the book on Nebraska and they had already kind of defeated that book early in the season and now all of a sudden they don't have any answers for it, I'm just a little like concerned that they look like they're worn down. Like there's just no explosion. They're already you already start lower on the scale than most teams with it, but now it looks like they're worn down. I have legitimate questions about what version of Rink Master you're getting every night. Jamarcus Lawrence hasn't played a good game in seemingly a little while.
Concerning.
I mean, he played well in the second half against Purdue, and I kept waiting for that for the Iowa, and he hit the three that kind of cut it. But at that point, you were already down by so much.
Yeah.
It's just there's just a lot here that there's the vibe. This is what I meant by it felt like an important win to go get from a vibes perspective, because now it's just like, you're going to go beat Maryland and Penn State, and you're not going to get a whole lot out of it.
To multiple.
But then everyone's going to be like, okay, well, let's see what they do against USC. Let's see what they do against UCLA. I don't think it's a given that they're going to beat this Iowa team at home.
Yeah. So
I heard so many people like, well, you just have to split home and home. I don't feel great about how they couldn't meet them where they stood going into this thing. There's going to be maybe pressure to win that game to be a double bye. I just don't love the feeling around this right now, which is wild to say for a 22-14.
Yeah, so there's a lot to still get through. We got a couple emails, and I want to do those, and you can hit us up, 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Call or text that number, and we'll get to some comments. We'll get to some emails on the Equitable Bank inbox when we return after this on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, here's an email from Terry on the Equitable Bank inbox. Emails Connor at 1620thezone.com. Hi, guys. How in the wide world of sports does a player fly over the back of an opposing player, knock both of them to the ground, and no foul is called? Amazing. And on Nebraska's second challenge call, the ref was standing right there with a perfect sight line, and he totally blows the call, the out-of-bounds one, which Nebraska had to use a challenge on. And once you use a challenge, you don't get it back even if you win, which is a weird rule. But anyway, Terry says Ray Charles knew it was Nebraska ball, but Nebraska had to waste their second challenge to get the call right. What the hell was the ref looking at? Now
Nebraska, it's the same as the first. Too.
Now Nebraska is more of the cause of the loss than the refs, but come on, man, at least try to be competent. Terry. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened in last night's game in which you just have to basically go, okay, Big Ten officiating. And it wasn't just, the broadcast did a good job pointing this out. Sam Hoiberg essentially got a steal in which he came from out of bounds, was out of bounds while he touched the ball. There was just inconsistency with what they were calling.
I just thought that there was just too many whistles, point blank, period. Like at a certain point, when the game is being played on those terms, and we're talking about a game that finished in the 50s, 57-52, like there's going to be fouls every single second.
Yeah.
And you don't, I'm not saying you just have to pocket the thing because that lets the game get out of control. But if this is going to sound wrong, but I thought the game was in too much control of the officials. I just thought there was too many whistles. Blank, period.
The fact that Nebraska got hit with 3 moving screen calls.
Yeah, ridiculous.
In that game.
Ridiculous.
And you can contend the Bear K one. He gets one of those every game. He could probably foul out every game on moving screens. I'm not gonna dispute that he is a very known target and deserves calls in that regard.
Right.
The other 2 were guys that were just completely set. And I don't understand the mass one at all. That will never make sense to me.
So what
the
happens
one where
is,
Jamarcus Lawrence sets one and Sturts falls over, I don't understand what Lawrence didn't move his feet.
Well, I think it was
he didn't
Sturts
put his
again
shoulder into him.
I think it was Sturts again on mast, and oftentimes they'll get guys for sticking their foot out a little bit or sticking their knee out, and the guy gets chipped and he falls over. Well, Sturts fell over and.
Yeah, Sturts was doing a lot of falling.
Right.
Like when he fell over on the
He's a smart player.
The rebound before, and he took Jamarcus Lawrence's legs out, but nobody saw it because the officials had already moved on. And then the very next, thing we see is him falling down yet again.
Yeah, he like Braden Smith can do a lot of little things to work the refs.
Unlike Braden Smith, he's been in the Big Ten for about 2 minutes, and he's already getting more calls than Nebraska basketball has most of the year.
Well, like I said, those 2 are really smart players, and they have this ability to make it look like contact or something has happened.
Did you enjoy when he pushed off on the layup attempt, falls to the floor, he lands, looks at the camera, and then buries his head into the ground? They give Ben McCollum a timeout after Nebraska had already gotten the ball in because he knew that they were going to be going 5-on-4 or even 5-on-3. That was horrendous. Like, McCollum's running onto the court to call a timeout. Nebraska had already inbounded it. Was like a third of the way up.
The one, if we're doing, it's this foul audit Wednesday, by the way, but this is not a foul. The backcourt violation. I can't. I cannot answer for that. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And it's just it's another instance of the bigger point for me, which is once you got to the point where it just felt like there was too many whistles, they couldn't pocket it, and it just everything. If it looked bad or if somebody reacted or whatever was going on, just Jeff Anderson or whoever was blowing the whistle at the time, they just felt like they had to do it. They just felt, and that's that makes the viewing experience bad for everybody. And not that it's all about us and the viewing experience, but my God, it's just uncomfortable.
No, it's not all about us, but it becomes all about them. That's the problem with half of the Big Ten officials is it just feels like they get a ton of screen time for the sake of getting screen time. I mean, you have Jeffrey Anderson having to go review 2 calls in which clearly the ball goes off of one individual without an opportunity for the other to even touch it right in front of you, and we have to waste time reviewing these things. And this is like the third. There's 3 calls, 2 in the last 2 games, where everyone in the arena could basically tell what had happened except the literal person standing right in front of the play. And we have to stop action to go get this review. And yeah, they get it correct. But if you don't have the ability to review it, if you're out of challenges, you're just out of luck because that person is the one that can't see right in front of them.
Also, it hurts you later because you have to use a challenge and you don't get the challenge. Like, I don't know why they got to mess with the challenge thing. Yeah. Like, if you get a challenge, you should get the challenge
thing. Maybe just replace some of the officials. Just start with that.
Like, I don't know.
Jeffrey Anderson has been like a thing for a long time. We're very familiar with him in Lincoln.
See, but this is the thing. Like, we're very familiar with all of the refs because it's the same 7 or 8 guys, every night.
And they botch the same calls every year.
I don't know if you look around, like, Jeff Anderson is a highly ranked official. Who
literally called an over and back that doesn't exist.
Correct.
Who called an out of bounds that went off of a knee.
I'm not defending the call, that's for sure. But like the next, let's say this happens and Jeff Anderson is removed or whatever. The next guy comes in and he does just as bad.
Potentially,
yeah. It's so it doesn't
churn and burn, baby.
Changing refs doesn't get you anywhere.
I'd rather through all of them so you never know their names.
I'd rather have the experience.
I don't need the Jeffrey Anderson experience. I get it about 15 times.
No, I mean the experience of doing
I know what you meant. Now you know what I meant.
He famously did Big East games, and Mac chewed him out in the Marquette game.
So Jeff Anderson is rated. I'm looking at the KenPom official rankings.
We have officiating rankings.
I'm sure this is based off of meticulously crafted criteria.
I actually don't know what it's based off.
Exactly, but we've got rankings for it.
He is 9th overall in the country,
but doesn't know what over and back is.
Oh, got that one wrong. Definitely got that one wrong. Who are some other guys on this?
Fred was.
So we got Kip Kissinger at number 1. Ron Groover,
where's your guy?
I haven't heard of Ron Groover. Oh, which one?
The foul that was a foul.
Lee Castle?
Yeah.
Oh God, let's find out.
I hope it's like
no longer in the Big East.
21st.
Okay.
21st.
12 off of Jeffrey Anderson. Where's our guy Kelly Pfeiffer?
K5. We haven't seen him around that much this year either. Where is K5? 34.
Okay.
God, he did a Grand Canyon San Diego State game last night.
Do we have Evan Burrows or Pat Driscoll?
Evan is 58.
Oh boy.
Who's the other one you asked about?
One-eye Pat Driscoll.
29.
Are we just throwing official names out there?
Well, I mean, yeah, since we know them all.
DJ Carstensen?
DJ Carstensen is I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's been a Final Four guy before. So yeah, he's 22, pretty high. Tony Chiazza was just in town recently. He's 25.
John Gaffney.
Where is Gaffney? Gaffney's here all the time.
And Farrell was
Gaffney 14. So Kip Kissinger, Ron Groover, Keith Kimball, Doug Sermons, Marcus Pettigrew, Roger Ayers. He's in Omaha a lot. Courtney Green used to be, not so much anymore. Brian Dorsey, Jeff Anderson, and Paul Sells. So there's, I think, 3 or 4 routine Big Ten refs in that top 10.
Right.
And one of them is Jeff Anderson. This is not to prove anything. It's just a great topic.
Highly rated high knees ref.
I don't think he was a moving screen call guy. I don't think that was him last night at the end of regulation.
Who was the moving screen call guy last night? We had Mike Reed and Owen Short. That was a good crew last night. 9, 23, and 26.
That was a good crew last night.
I watched the game.
We're having a segment talking about officiating.
What a crew.
Wow. These rankings must really nail it. Good God.
Mike Schaefer loves KenPom. I could already tell.
No, I don't have any problem with KenPom. The idea of ranking officials, like we have no idea what this is based off of. Maybe it's whistles per second because Jeff Anderson would be pretty high.
This is a great question. We
Correct
should
calls, missed calls.
We should call Robot Ken Pomeroy and see what he is actually doing.
What if he's the wacky guest Wednesday?
Call Ken Pomeroy?
No, I mean, what if that's who Josh is calling and now Matt's really mad? He's not awake, but if he was,
that would be a great wacky guest Wednesday.
Our entire goal is to try to steal the wacky guest Wednesday guest before he comes on.
Yes, we try and figure out who it is and then steal him.
I love this idea. This is a tremendous idea for the content. I don't think any of our listeners would enjoy it near to the level that we would get out of it.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, it was a tough hang last night. But as we discussed in the first segment of the hour, Nebraska's got problems. So we'll talk about in the 8:00 hour kind of what happens next here and what is our actual concern level. We don't have to do like a full-blown like panic meter here unless you want to. Panic meter? Okay.
I mean, look, if we have one, I can give you.
I got the signs. I got the signs if you need them.
That's right. What's the other one say? Overreaction and concern. Which we feel like we need to add some to the lexicon.
We're gonna say
we do.
It feels like we're a couple short there on the paddles.
They've been collecting dust for a while.
All right. We'll take your thoughts on all of this. 402-951-1620. We'll be back with the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, we have headlines from Joey. Do we just fire this in right here? I just saw the video of Mick Cronin from last night. The new Mick Cronin video is dropped.
I have it ready to go if you want to play it.
Oh, I have it in the video stream.
Well, I have the board ready.
Okay. So you are ready to play the video.
Yeah, I'm ready if you want to do it.
I am ready, and I do want to do it. So UCLA gets blasted by Michigan State last night. And as you know, context is important here. Mick Cronin has been quite complainy. UCLA coach Mick Cronin has been very vocal about not caring about what he says recently. I don't know any other way to describe it than that. So he's with a group of reporters last night after Michigan State houses UCLA, and one of the reporters asked him about Michigan State's student section,
the IZone.
And here's the next 45 seconds.
Not in the student section chanting Booker's name.
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you.
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the
Are
other.
you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
Just
What a jackwagon.
incredible.
Are you raising your voice at me?
Like, it was done, and then he engages,
Are you raising your voice at me?
and the guy's kind of like incredulous.
Everyone can hear you. Come on. Don't raise your voice at me.
I'm on camera.
He is on an all-time run of jerk. I mean, one of the greatest runs we've seen over the last few weeks is just being a complete ass.
It kind of feels like someone who knows that the drain is being circled a little bit.
I don't know that he's getting fired.
The thing is, I don't know that they want to pay him to go away either.
No,
And
exactly.
it's not like they're not like
They're not flush for cash.
no, they
over
were
there.
horrendous last night in that game against Michigan State, but they're still a tournament.
Yes,
You know,
I think so. Yeah.
Well, again, like it's
We'll
always
see.
said, we'll see how the rest of the season kind of plays out. But I mean,
I always thought that he was a horrible fit for there. I mean, just an awful fit.
I think he's a really good basketball coach, but it just comes with the personality that does not fit in 2026.
Especially at UCLA. UCLA is very pretty.
Yeah,
it's a very
they're a calm
pretty
school.
place.
I mean, yes, that is true in the sense of like what you think of when you think of him. I think the style would work there. It's just that
Like if he has an engaged fan base what has happened over the last couple of weeks is he's just been yelling at clouds because nobody will back him on any of this travel stuff or whatever because nobody cares. Nobody cares about
Everybody's dealing
UCLA
with it,
basketball. And so if he has like an engaged
Cab cares.
it-
Do we
know
want to
one
call
guy.
another person you've done radio with?
We know one guy. So
Five, it's what?
if he has an
5:53 a.m.?
engaged fan base, they get behind him, and all of a sudden we got Mick Cronin's cronies
Sure.
there. We don't have that.
No.
Nobody cares about the crap that he's saying. So he's just yelling into the void.
And he's basically an easy target for this, like literally every time they lose or win, or he has any opportunity to talk at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it is remarkable. And he's had success there, probably more success there than people thought he was going to have. But it just doesn't look good, doesn't sound good.
All right, Joey,
We'll see how they play.
hit me with some headlines here.
All right. The first headline is restaurants warned after diner allegedly plants hair to dodge a $600 bill at popular Sydney restaurant.
Plants what? Where?
Hair.
Plants hair to dodge a $600 bill at a popular Sydney restaurant.
Again, a lot of the story is in the headline.
Yeah, it's very, very all-encompassing headline.
We'll see what's behind door number two.
What a horrible idea, by the way.
Door number 2, it's very short. It's wild turkeys chase panic UPS driver in Connecticut.
Okay, did you see this video?
Is there video? Do you have the video ready to go?
There is video. I don't think we have it ready to go.
I don't have it ready to go.
But it's great. So the guy starts like he's trying to deliver this package in an apartment complex, and he realizes these turkeys are kind of like they're on him, and he apparently has dealt with these turkeys before.
Sure.
And he like quickly gets the packages delivered, jumps back into his truck, and starts like shouting like, "I'm 40 years old. I don't have to. I shouldn't have to deal with this, or I shouldn't be scared of this."
That's what he was saying.
It was fantastic.
Look,
Great video.
I mean, as someone who you've experienced this when you're golfing, sometimes you get like angry geese.
Yeah.
Or, you don't want to mess with birds.
Yeah.
I like
Just mess you
I
up,
want
man.
an agreement where birds stay where they are. I stay where I am. It was always great when Slider and I were walking around the lake because like his presence would just force
What about
the geese away.
when Mike Schaefer takes to the skies and then airplanes, the birds go inside the airplanes and they die?
I mean, it'd be better for them if they didn't. It would be better for them if they wouldn't fly into my football team stadium.
They do that a lot. Are you impeding the birds' home?
Are you saying I'm in their airspace?
I'm just saying, if you want the birds to avoid your space, you have to avoid the bird space too.
I'm not the plane.
That is true. You are not a plane, but you might be on the plane.
I'm a dump truck.
Captain Sully was on that plane that one time.
Oh,
Smashed
man.
those geese. Nobody thinks about the
that movie.
geese. I love the movie. He landed the plane. He's a hero, but nobody talks about the dead geese.
Shouldn't have been there.
They're inside.
No one
of
talks about the bird fatalities.
No one talks about how many bird fatalities.
I am not a friend of birds. I know that much.
Okay. Well, I like to see it both ways. I like to see it from both sides. You can't be. Whoa! Look at those guys. Look at those mountain goats on that mountain there in Milan or wherever we. Wow, that's pretty cool. Anyway, we get distracted by animals a lot on this show, and that guy certainly had a difficult time doing his job.
I'm going to find this video in the break.
Please do. All right. Thank you, Joey. Those are the headlines. When we come back, the 8:00 hour rolls on. Panic meter, concern meter, whatever you'd like to call it. We'll do that. We'll also chat with Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. And we're back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Just past 8 o'clock. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. Still doing the Girl Scout cookie for a year deal right now, which, yeah, I said that right. Girl Scout cookies for a year. You could win. Brought to you by the Girl Scout Spirit of Nebraska. Runs through March 15th. The contest does, and the cookie booths are already out right now. Go to girlscoutsnebraska.org for more information on that. But if you enter online at 1620thezone.com, you could win a year's supply of Girl Scout cookies, brought to you by the Girl Scout Spirit of Nebraska. Okay, so we talked about the game, the things that Nebraska did not do well enough to win last night. We talked about the officiating and Ken Palm officiating rankings, which was an enlightening conversation, I think. And now we have...
What a great crew.
Now we have...
Wow, how did we have a conversation about the officiating when the Ken Palm rankings are so good?
That was my takeaway. I was
Three
like,
top
wow.
35 officials. Wow.
No, 3 top 25.
20. Oh, I thought you said 33. 23?
I let me go back to last night.
We don't have to, but
It was 9, 23, and 26.
okay. So,
So
three
three-
top 26
Three
officials.
top 26 officials.
And we had a whole segment about the officiating, and it wasn't complimentary until that point. Incredible.
I thought they were great. Thank you, Ken Palm. So now we can talk about big picture. Is there a panic meter? Are we registering there? I mean, I think
you got to calibrate it. I mean, there's not a panic. Like, they're going to make the NCAA tournament. Full stop. They're going to make the NCAA tournament.
no doubt.
There's no panic in terms of there's going to be a postseason play. Now, I want to calibrate it with these sort of subsets of things. A couple weeks ago, we were having a real conversation about, hey, the Big Ten title is an obtainable thing. You have this game against Michigan, that game against Illinois, and that game against Purdue against the top of the conference. Take a couple of those, and you are in a great spot. They took none of them. Going into the Purdue game, it was a conversation of, okay, didn't get Illinois, didn't get Michigan. Those are national title contenders. You know, context of rink mass was diarrhea. And,
D-word.
they didn't have Frager in the Michigan game, et cetera, et cetera. You're not able to beat Purdue, but you have this big comeback, so it kind of changes the tenor of what the conversation is, and you had the opportunity to win. You had the missed free throw at the end. Didn't win in overtime. Conversation before yesterday. You have 6 games remaining. None of the teams that you play are likely to be ranked. None of these teams are likely to be title contenders, but 4 of those games are going to be against NCAA tournament teams. You have an opportunity to finish out strong. You lose the first opportunity in that 6.
Right. So you're looking at, we've had a variety of different like checkpoints this year, and I think you did a really good job there of just laying them out. Like, there was one point this season where you're like, are they going to lose a game?
Right.
Point blank period. Now, I think
up until about the 2-minute mark against Michigan, it felt like there was a real chance that this was just the dream season of dream season.
If you take the emotion out of it, I think at the time you would if Nebraska would have gone on this absurd run to win the conference this year and end up being a 1 seed, you would have said, oh my God, like not only are they playing really well, but they got some breaks and they got some stuff to go their way, and they completely maximized absolutely everything that they could have done with the results of the season based on how good they are as a team. Things change when you win and lose games because the goals shift and the goals move. Nebraska's not going to be a 1 seed anymore. They're not going to win the Big Ten regular season. They still have a chance for a double bye, and there's a bunch of stuff that's still on the table. Top 3-4 seed in the NCAA tournament. So let's put a stake in the ground right now and hit a checkpoint here. Knowing that some of your expectations are based on what it has been or what you thought it was going to be before the season, I'm not really hitting the panic meter because I always felt like they were just like they were the results were outperforming what they actually were and have been as a team. Not to say that they're bad, but if you would have told me when they were 7-0, 8-0, 9-0, 10-0 on the season, or maybe they were coming off the Illinois win. If you would have told me, hey, look, they're going to be a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, I would have said, deal, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like the season working out as good as it possibly could have worked out. Now, obviously, those expectations grew and ballooned when they got to 20-0, but I think that's still on the table. The problem is right now it's late. People forget it's late, almost late February now, and it's trending the wrong way.
Yeah,
and I think that's the issue that people are kind of having a tough time squaring.
Right, and like whatever alarm I'm sounding, it's not that they aren't going to have a great season. They already have, and it's going to end in what you want, which is an NCAA tournament appearance. And they're going to be the, favored team in that first game, more than likely. I mean, unless they just get a really weird draw or something like that. It would be hard for me to concoct.
They're definitely wearing a white jersey
where they're not a favored team. Or we were talking about what is the show's philosophy? Higher seed.
I believe yes, we are.
We need to have a philosophy for the show.
This is what I always say though. I say white jersey. You
That
say you
works.
wear the home jersey.
The home team.
Home team.
They'll be the home team in the NCAA tournament game. And that's all still going to be true. But it's hard to not look at sections of this season where they were at and then also just kind of feel like, okay, they're not playing particularly good basketball right now. It doesn't mean that they are just going to continue to not play good basketball.
Right.
But there's also nothing that says they're going to pull out of this and go back to the team that played great basketball for stretches of December and early January. So it's sort of, where are they at? How do they can they get back to where they were? What is sort of the apex of this, which for a lot of the conversation, it wasn't the getting to the Final Four, winning the national championship, whatever. I think people have been largely reasonable where it's like, hey, I want to see the second weekend.
Yep.
That's still very, very, very possible. It just doesn't feel like this team, the way that they have played the last 6 games, of which they are 2-4, and those 2 wins, they won by a combined 31 points against teams that will finish somewhere between last and 4th to last in the conference.
Nice.
Great. You had 4 opportunities against teams that are going to finish anywhere from 1st, 2nd, 4th, 7th, 6th. Who knows where Iowa ends up with. And it just doesn't feel like they've achieved things that they were doing earlier in the year, and it makes you wonder, are they going to be able to achieve things that you had kind of already mentally crossed off? Not you, because Nebraska's definitely going to win an NCAA tournament game.
Mm-hmm.
But if the idea is that you're going to get to the second weekend, like, you got to get by the first round, obviously. But then if you're playing in a 4-5 matchup, much tougher game than if it's a 2-7 or a 2-10, or you might get a 12, whatever. Just the point being, like, everything is a continuously, you're moving the scales, or you're moving whatever the standard of what you thought this season was as the season lives and breathes. Now, as you said, if you went back to the beginning of the year and someone's like, hey, Nebraska is going to be a 4 seed.
I will sign you up for a 4 seed right now. I would have signed that contract, and I would sign it today. And I probably would have signed it when they were 21-2.
Yeah.
I probably would have signed it when they were
21. I don't think I
21.
would have signed it at 21-2 because I also looked at what was left on the schedule, and it's like, hey, I think they have this option. And they still could. Like, we're still talking about a team that could very easily be 26-5, and it's not by any means a bad year. It's just the idea of where you had hoped this thing was going to go, because this is the other part of all of it. It's this year, and it's how it finishes up. Is there any sustainable level that this continues into next year? Is this a run for Nebraska basketball, or is it a 1-year blip? If it's a 1-year blip, you want to get everything out of it that you can. That's the bigger picture question.
I don't know that I want to think about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not like the fun conversation to have on February whatever.
But like that can't impact your expectations for this year.
No, I mean, my expectations are still the same as they were before Nebraska lost last night, which is I want to see them get to the second weekend.
Right.
They're halfway there. Like, it's harder for me to accept that they're going to beat comparable teams to Iowa when they struggled to beat Iowa. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record, currently on the standings right now, February, what is it, 19th, 17th, 18th? Okay, it's around it.
Almost had it.
So, nobody that they have beaten since Indiana has a winning record or is above 500. So some of it is I'd like to see this get back to where you're beating NCAA tournament teams or at least solid teams.
Yep.
And it's just the way the schedule's set. Like it was front loaded and they managed it. And so you're like, okay, this is great. And now the vibe of it just feels different.
They're I
don't even think they're a guarantee to be a double bye in the Big Ten right now with the way that they're playing.
So let's look at that real quick. Michigan is the far and away number one Big Ten.
Yeah, they're winning.
They're gonna win the conference. They beat Purdue last night. Illinois, Purdue, Michigan State, Nebraska. Each of those, with the exception of Illinois, has 4 losses. Wisconsin has 5. Ooh, Wisconsin last night. Yikes!
They lost to Ohio State, and it was never close.
Yikes! People were just starting to enjoy themselves in Wisconsin.
I was
again.
like, wow, they beat 2 top 10 teams and they got ranked 24th. Yeah. Turns out there's a reason.
Yeah. So they're still in the mix for that. But you're right. I mean, they do have some challenges coming up and going forward. And so that's the other thing. Like we look at the schedule and like once again, if you look at it from if you're parachuting in from a resume perspective, you're like, what's the problem here? Nebraska lost to Michigan, Illinois, Purdue, and Iowa on the road. Like, who cares? But you're trying to, get into the middle of what are they in a vacuum?
Sure.
What are they in and of themselves? And there's no doubt to me that this is a different basketball team than it was a couple weeks ago when I still think, I don't think confidence is the issue. You were just pointing at they haven't beat a good team in a while, and that is most definitely true.
It's not even just beating; they haven't finished a game like the way that it went against Purdue, the way that it went against Illinois, the way that it went against Iowa.
I don't feel like this team lacks confidence. It's almost the other way. Like I wondered out loud in the Purdue game at the beginning when they got down 14-1 right out of the gate. Like I kind of wondered if they felt like they had arrived a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's been the other teams.
See, it's so interesting because I have never thought that was ever going to be an issue, and I don't know that I think that it is. It's more just to like.
But these other teams have thrown the first punch.
Done.
These other teams have thrown the first punch, and like Nebraska, if they're going to win, they have to play games on their terms because they have to
start fast.
They have to start fast. They have to throw the first punch. They have to play the game on their terms, and that has not been the case.
Right, and then when it actually gets into the game and it gets late. It just feels like the stuff that they had done, and I said this in the 7 o'clock hour, the stuff that they had done to play winning basketball against Ohio State and against Michigan State and against Indiana isn't showing up right now. Like you feels like they're playing tight. It feels like they're not able to finish possessions and how they want. They led and then would have a series of like 5 possessions, 4 of which they didn't even get a shot off. Like you can't have that. If you're going to put a team like Iowa away, you can't have it. And this is certainly a big part of it for Nebraska, where they have their bugaboos. They are very loud right now. You can't have it where you get 2 stops against Iowa, but you don't get the ball because you're not getting the rebound. The whole thing. I mean, they made such a big deal about getting rebounds against Northwestern, and they got lots of them. They needed to make the same big deal against Iowa.
There was a couple times last night where they actually did finish off a possession and, maybe the ball got tapped around and ultimately, Iowa got most of those, by the way, on the tap arounds or got a foul or whatever it might have been. But there was a couple times where Nebraska actually got the possession after the rebound. And then we're in such a rush to push it up the floor that they just mindlessly turned the ball over.
Or it
led to a quick bad shot or something like that.
They had early possession threes from Kale and Rink that were just like, this was entirely unnecessary.
So that gets back to the biggest thing for me, I think, and just the stuff that was there. The word that was used or that I used early in the season with them was that they are unflappable, right? They're almost robotic in the way they play because they're always doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now we still know, like their ceiling is their ceiling. We still know what they're supposed to be doing, but now they feel sped up and they feel bothered by some things. And I don't know why that creeps in. Maybe it's just losing a game or a series of games in a stretch of time, whatever it is. I also want to to make this point. I'll reiterate it because I really believe this in the beginning of the year. I think it was advantageous for Nebraska to get their big marquee wins when they did. The Michigan State game, the Illinois game on the road with the buzzer beater, very, very early in the Big Ten Conference slate, the blasting of Wisconsin, very, very early in the Big Ten slate, because that's the advantage that I felt like Nebraska had over its opponents, is that from day one, not quite day one, I guess, but from very early in the campaign, they were connected as a group, and you could see it as clear as day. And these other teams, they just weren't there yet, whether they're bringing in talent from a variety of different other places, like whatever it might be. And as I said then, other teams are going to catch up in that category. And so Nebraska has to, continue to be that and then do other things well too. I think other teams have caught up in their connectivity. And so Nebraska, while that's still their big quality that you would put on the marquee in front of Nebraska basketball 2025, 2026 connectivity, I just think the gap, like they probably were the number one team with a bullet, and now they might still be the number one team, but everybody else is caught up.
Sure.
Everybody else is caught up in that category. And so that's something where the weaknesses that they have as far as ceiling and talent and all this stuff, different stuff, will show a little bit more now that other teams can sustain the connectivity piece.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly an element to it. It's just largely, even if everyone else catches up to what you have in the connectivity piece of it, there's still just this, it felt like part of what you were getting in that unflappable sense was a veteran team that wasn't going to allow the external circumstances to affect them.
Yep.
And I would argue that is not what we have seen for much of the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, that part's gone away.
And when they went out and played Michigan and played the way that they did, and it was like, holy crap, these guys can take on anyone in the world, and it doesn't matter if they're shorthanded or what it is. And now it's like they play an Iowa team that it's going to be physical, and it still catches them by surprise, and they still get sped up, and they still play right into the trap of what Iowa's setting. That's just not what you would expect from them at this point in the season.
Yeah, certainly not what I thought when I was watching them in January.
Right.
That's for sure.
And it all comes down to the little things every time. I mean, if Nebraska shoots slightly better, we're not having this conversation.
So what does this all mean as it pertains to March? I don't know. I mean,
I think it means you're more likely to find out what Philadelphia or Buffalo or Tampa means in March.
Oh, no.
I think the Oklahoma City dream is hanging on by a thread.
Oh, no.
St. Louis could be out there. Now, I mean, this is where I was joking earlier about it being a 6 seed. If they fall down to that line, you could get Kansas as a 3 and Nebraska as a 6.
Yeah. In Oklahoma City?
In Oklahoma City.
Would you rather have that or go to Philadelphia as a 4?
I don't know. I do kind of like the idea of a Nebraska-Kansas NCAA tournament game. Darren Peterson just deciding he's not going to play moments before the game. We'll see.
There is an argument to be. I'll leave you with
I don't think
thought.
they're going to be a 6 for the record.
Okay, good.
But, if
You said it, by the way.
if they don't win games, that's where they could end up.
There is an argument to be made here. I will leave you with this thought because it may be controversial coming from my mouth. There is an argument to be made here that they have maxed out, that we have seen the best version of Nebraska basketball. And what they're trying to do is capture that again somehow. Some of it is quality of competition. We will. I mean, that's what these last 5 games of the regular season are for.
The one thing with that you never know is, okay, did they max out in the sense of what their high looks like, right?
Yep.
The question is, do they have the ability to get back to that high, or have they maxed out in the sense that they can't get to that high anymore? But those are 2 very different things.
True. So
I think we know what a high-end Nebraska basketball looks like, but we haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
So then it's is that just gone? And the further we get down this current line, then what is 80% as high look like?
Right. And can you achieve it consistently?
Right.
Can you do it for a 4-game stretch or
there was parts of that Illinois game where I would tell you the one they lost, they were playing really, really well. And then there was parts of it where they clearly weren't. That's just, some of it with basketball is you have to be able to ride the waves. And again, this was a team that was doing that as well as anybody.
Jeff writes in just a quick email here in the Equitable Bank inbox. He writes, the offensive flow just isn't there. How much of this is teams adjusting defensively to what they do in offense? I think for Iowa is just it's just the way they defend. It's just they're just gonna run through everything. He says the rebounding is a major concern. I saw numerous times where guys were not getting a body on anybody when the shot went up. That can be improved.
That's kind of just the Fred Hoiberg hallmark, if we're honest. Like,
there ain't nobody down there to get they're going to get killed in the offensive rebounds every game because it's by design.
You could pick any team during his tenure and any subset of players, and there's always going to be the conversation of they don't box.
They put extra emphasis on, on the offensive boards. They put extra emphasis on getting back and setting their defense because that's how they have to win. And by the way, speaking of KenPom, where we did the ref rankings earlier, Nebraska's performance last night got them up to 5th in defensive efficiency in the country. Their offense has taken a significant
they've dropped pretty hard.
49 right now on the offensive efficiency ratings. All right, D'Lo writes in, maybe sums it up pretty well on YouTube. Just win a damn tournament game. Everything else is gravy. If we get it land in that place again, that might be advantageous to the chatter about everything. That might be an okay thing.
No, I mean that's the ultimate goal of the season. There's no question on that.
All right, quick break. Sam McEwen is up on the other side. We'll talk with him about this and maybe some football on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer and Schaefer is here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Joe Coy's in the Metro this spring. The Just Being Coy Tour, Friday, April 17th at the Holland. Enter online, 1620thezone.com for your chance to win your way into the show. We're joined on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by Sam McEwen now. Sam, good morning. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. I'm pretty good. Beautiful sunny day, last warm day of the week.
Yeah, this is it. And then we return to winter for a little while, but we'll take whatever we can get. What'd you think last night? / where are you at on Nebraska basketball right now?
Oh, I think teams are catching up to them a little bit, which you would have expected. The more they put on film, and a team like Iowa just has to accept the risk of whistles and fouls. That's just part of what they have to do. And they were able to get away with some stuff, but that's Big Ten basketball. That's what's going to happen in the sport. Defenses are going to start to do the equivalent of basically playing man in football and locking down your receivers and being real physical with them. And Nebraska's going to have to find a way to get out of it. But the interesting thing that I thought Hoiberg said last night, he said two things. One, he said, sooner or later somebody's got to put the ball on the deck and make a play.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, when you see pressure, your eyes should light up. Now, the second thing is they've got to do a better job of cutting to the rim, getting plays at the rim. The first thing is, somebody has to channel their inner Bryce Williams and go make a play. And they don't have Bryce Williams anymore. But somebody's got to go, at times, go be that guy. He's got to go out, and it's got to be a 1-4 set. It's got to be Lawrence, or it's got to be Frager, or it's got to be Stanford. And they got to go make a play. And Nebraska needs to either designate someone to do that, or somebody's going to have to step up and do it, because it's not always going to be, we didn't get to execute the beautiful game tonight, so we lost, and the ref should have done a better job. That's not how that works, and I don't think that's how Hoiberg looks at it either.
I am curious. So I feel like part of this shift for Nebraska and in kind of this set of games where it hasn't gone as well, you haven't seen the late game execution. You've seen them be a little bit more panicky, if you will. We've seen turnovers go up. The sort of stuff they were doing earlier in the year. You mentioned you feel like other teams have caught up to them. Is there something more than just that as to why maybe Nebraska is struggling late in games in ways that they hadn't? And I say struggling, acknowledging we're talking like a very small sample size.
Oh, yeah. I think probably getting worn down a little bit. They play a 7-man rotation. As the season goes on, you get a little banged up. I do think that Price Stanford took people by surprise earlier in the season. I mean, what they were doing with Price is a little different than what they were doing at Iowa. And I think over the first 15 to 17 games, he just went off. And, I think the Illinois game, I think and some others, where everybody's like, well, this is just kind of the same old Nebraska, and it wasn't. So now, everybody's got a scouting report, and they're going to play it really well. Of course, Northwestern could not keep up with Price Stanford for 40 minutes, and he went off on them eventually. And I think that those things are going to happen sometimes. The interesting thing is they're going to play Penn State on Saturday, and they're probably going to win by 15. Then they're going to play Maryland, and they're probably going to win by about 8 or 10. And everybody's going to be cool in the game, So then they're going to go out to the West Coast, and they got to try to avoid going 0-2 out there, because those two teams have the athletes and the experience and the motivation, which Penn State and Maryland lack, to play really well and to win that game. And then they got Iowa. So they got a couple of games now to fix some of those things and get their confidence back. But eventually they're going to have to go play teams that can rebound again, and are going to challenge them in a lot of different ways. And they can either fight harder on the board, or they can play more guys. I mean, Jared Garcia is over on the bench. He knows how to play basketball. Play him. And I don't think that's easy for Hoiberg. I think he really likes the tight rotation, because everybody on the floor has a 400 level knowledge of the offense and the defense. And there's moments where Garcia gets a little lost. But you're putting guys on the floor that are not great rebounders. And I appreciated Stanford taking responsibility for his part of that last night. Good for him. You've got guys over there on the bench, whether it's Curtis, who's young, or Garcia, who is not, who can go get a rebound. And then you got a 6'5" guard. He's a 5th-year senior that you can put on the floor if that's what you want to do for 3 or 4 minutes. Get Sam Hoiberg some rest. They'll have to decide how they want to do that. What I thought was interesting last night is Hoiberg gave about a 2.5-minute presser. He was really ticked off.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that things were turning over in his mind, and that might be one of those games where they go back and they're like, all right, guys, we've got some time now. We've got all of 2 games over the next however many days, 10 days. And we've got to figure out how we're going to do X, Y, and Z for the stretch run. Because the story is no longer, are they going to make the tournament? And it really isn't, are they going to win a tournament game? That's going to happen or it's not going to happen. The question is, what's their seed going to be? And are they going to go into the NCAA tournament playing the kind of basketball that they were playing in early January?
Yep.
And part of a coach's job is to get them back to that point. So that's where he will make his money.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald is with us. Sam, spring ball is here, which is absurd to say. They're going to practice on Saturday for the first time. Matt Rule will talk tomorrow with coordinators as well. What has your ear? What's exciting to you as Nebraska starts this late winter ball into spring ball?
It's an interesting camp. I mean, however you feel about whether Nebraska is going to be a good team or not next year, this is an intriguing spring camp. You have pretty much a new quarterback room. Obviously, Lateef comes back, and I think all of us want to know how Anthony Calandria is going to do, Lateef and Kalen. The defensive line was not good last year. We can just go ahead and say that, and they have to be better this year. Because if you're not good up front with 4 men, they're going to put an extra defensive lineman out there. If you're not good with 4, you're not going to be good on the back end. And in the one game where they decided they were going to try 5 defensive linemen was Penn State. Penn State made that look like a foolish move. So they've got to get better up there, and they're doing it with brand new coaches, which I think is really interesting. So those 2 areas, I think the defensive line, I think the quarterback, sneaky important is linebacker. They've got to get more athletic and make more plays at that position. And they did. Last year, Vincent Shavers was guessing a lot, and he didn't always make those plays. And then the other guys just didn't make the kind of plays at the line of scrimmage that you want to see them make. They made tackles, and they didn't necessarily make a ton of big mistakes, but they didn't make splash plays. And then I'm obviously curious to see how the offensive line and the running back rooms look. I will say one of my lower curiosities is special teams, and I suspect a lot of people are going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But that isn't necessarily like something you can learn a lot about in spring.
Right.
Yeah. It just isn't.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to learn is Kyle Cunanan and John Hull are competing for that job. I think Cunanan's got the edge, but Hull's got a bigger leg. And I think Archie Wilson is going to grow as a punter, and Brett Maher will help him do that. So, but we're not going to learn much about the return game there. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time other than talking to Brett Maher about special teams. But the other units, I think you can measure things. And offensive line is really intriguing, right? Because they bring in 3 transfers. I think in a perfect world, all 3 transfers would start. But let me add that they got a lot of linemen that are 3rd and 4th year guys that are probably getting tired of sitting the bench. So I think the competition at those positions is going to be pretty intense.
I have no idea why you would do this, but I'm going to ask it as a question anyways. If you were to be asked, like I am about to ask now, to list out Nebraska's players, and you had to, like, out of the 105-man roster or whatever they have, who is the guy that you would put at number 1 as the best football player on Nebraska's roster right now? I mean, it felt like you had kind of an obvious answer the last couple of years where you've had a Ty Robinson or an Emmett Johnson or, Dylan Raiola, if you wanted to go that route. Who would you say is Nebraska's best football player, regardless of position, right now on this roster?
From a contributes to the team or an
NFL I mean, I think from a contribute to the team matters more than like their NFL prospects or even their upside. Like the guy that you just
have to project a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to project that they're going to play well, I'm guessing.
I'll give you a 3. Justin Evans, and Isaiah Hunter, and Vincent Shavers. If he's right and the line in front of him plays better, Shavers is a playmaker. I mean, he won them the Cincinnati game last year. He won the game. If they don't make that play at the end of the first half, they don't win the game. So those 3 probably the ones that I would mention. And Calandria. I mean, I think Calandria has got, I don't know what his NFL prospects are, but Could he turn the program on its head a little bit in a good way? Yeah, I think he could. I think he's got the moxie to do it, and I don't know that I would have said that about Kenny Minchie, to be candid, because you can't gauge what Kenny Minchie's done based on what he's done in college. But we have a pretty good sense of Calandria, and I think he has the ability. We'll see. It's up to him. It's really up to him, because they're going to let him have full control of the wheel.
Very fascinated to hear from Dana Holgerson tomorrow as well,
Yeah.
about Calandria and how this whole thing is going to work. And now that we have some distance, like post Raiola as well, I mean, they gotta, this is a big spring for the offense, Sam. They have to find some direction and where they want to take that thing.
I agree with you. I mean, I think there's this is now, okay, Dana, this is your offense. What do you want to do, and who do you want to do it with? And I think Holgerson's perspective is he liked a lot of the guys already in the room. They need to find a way to run the football with the quarterback. They need to have a little bit different run scheme, and they needed to find offensive linemen who were suitable for that scheme. And so what do they go out and do? Well, they went out and got a running quarterback, which Minchie would have been too. They went out and got a new offensive line coach, who's a hell of a recruiter, it appears. He and Lonnie Teasley can recruit. They went out and got 3 offensive linemen, 2 of whom are guards that are going to be pullers in this new sort of run scheme they're going to run. And they kept everybody else. And they added a receiver. The interesting thing to me is they kept everybody else. Now, if you're going to tell me that Dana Holgerson thinks that the backs that they got in the room are good, I'm inclined to trust that, because he thought the same thing last year when Emmett Johnson was the guy.
Well, you knew
I'm
more
inclined
about
to
Emmett
trust him.
Johnson. You knew more about Emmett Johnson than Dana Holgerson did, in the sense of you've watched him for several years. Like, you knew what was there. You have no idea what
did.
Mosey or
Not everybody did. I felt good about Emmett's play. I'm saying that he thinks that. And I mean, they do. I think they had the money to go out and get a transfer running back. Now, the question mark I have, the one question mark I have about those backs is Quentin Ives going to be your red zone and your short yardage back? He has to prove that. I don't have a ton of questions about what Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey and Jamal Rule can do in the aggregate to make up one Emmett Johnson. I do have questions about whether Ives can stay healthy and whether he is truly a power back. Dante Dowdell, his lateral movement was little, but he was a bowling ball, and you didn't want to tackle. Quentin Ives actually in high school bounced a lot of runs. He's like Sevion Morrison that way. Now he's put on weight, and he's put on a lot of weight, and they feel comfortable with him based on the Las Vegas Bowl of his ability to gain yards in short yard situations. That's the risk. But I don't perceive it a risk to rely on Nelson and Mosey and Rule. I don't perceive that as a risk. But we'll see. I think it's the defining question of the offense in the offseason, especially for fans. So I'm respectful that the readers feel like this is a huge issue. And so we're going to ask about it, and we'll dutifully take down their answers, and we will watch it closely, because I think that the number one question I've gotten all off season is about they didn't get a great defensive tackle and running back. And to the first question, I say I agree, and the second one I don't. I mean, the first question, we'll see. Jasir Whittington is an interesting player, and if he can eat up 45 snaps a game and make a play or two, then maybe you did just fine. I don't know. I've watched a lot of his games in the last 3 weeks, so watched almost all of his snaps. So, I think he's got potential. I guess we'll see.
All right, Sam, we will let you go. Always appreciate you dropping by. Enjoy the rest of your week.
All right, take care.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. Lot to look forward to Many topics.
You know what this basketball team did for most of January and part of February?
Yes.
Allowed us to not talk about running backs.
And for that, I am grateful.
Yeah.
For that, I am grateful.
We got a lot of running back conversation.
We would have
ahead.
been ramming our heads into the wall for the last month. Thank you, Nebraska ball. You did us all a favor.
Thank you indeed.
It's appreciated. All right, we'll be back round out the hour. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. We love brands, folks, don't we? And we love getting impressions. We love impressions. We love looking at our stats and our impressions.
Frank Caliendo impressions?
Frank Caliendo impressions.
Sure do love that.
Of Morgan Freeman, of John Bishop, of a variety of different people, not Casey Kasem. And we love when we get our value. I speak for everybody in the industry here. We get our value and our self-worth from our impressions. It feeds us like it's fuel to an automobile. Gas me up with impressions. And there's no more group of people who has more gasoline than the top 20 college sports influencers for 2025 on X, according to something, and also according to Shannon Terry, who has started many, many organizations.
He is a creator. Before there was content creators, there was Shannon Terry, who creates companies of content.
So he made up a list, literally made up a list.
He may have even created Get Social.
Yeah, he may have. I had that thought yesterday when I looked at Social Proof. It has 38 followers.
I was going to say an account that has it's following 6 and has 38 followers.
This is a great bit by Shannon Terry, who doesn't know that he's doing a bit. And then, of course, what happened yesterday when he tweeted out this list, first of all, the On3 account was deemed the number one account by a long shot, according to On3, the president of On3.
Unbelievable.
And then several On3 creators as well, which then led to a lot of people in the mentions of
2.47 billion, which is hilarious. 247 Shannon Terry on 3. I loved it.
Interesting.
The only reference you'll see to those 3 numbers, by the way.
There was a lot of bloviating, and then there was more bloviating in the responses. Why am I not on the list? I have impressions. I have more impressions than these people. I have more impressions than JD Pickle, who's the short sleeve, tight shirt wearing guy who does takes for On3. I have more impressions than him. Everybody was saying nationwide. And that led people to the discovery that the list was carefully curated and selected by Mr. On3 himself.
I'm shocked.
This is this is a bad day for the internet. And it exposes everyone and how weird they are. These people are all weirdos. If you ever hear anyone talking about how many impressions they got, call them a weirdo and move on with your life. Thank you, Joey. Thank you. We are never talking about impressions on the Happer and Schaefer show.
So I can't tell you after seeing this how many I had for 2025?
No. I don't.
Are you sure?
How do you even find that information?
If you are a verified account,
I am
under there.
I am.
I can show you. Would you like to see?
Because I wanted to stream the show.
I can walk you through the steps.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got to go over to the premium.
Okay, clicked.
And then you're going to go to find the analytics.
Analytics, got it.
And then you can just move your slider to the year for day. It won't be the exact 2025. You could do the actual dates if you want to. I didn't feel like it was necessary.
Okay, so just 1 year.
Yeah,
so this is like 1 year from today. And then impressions. Okay, 14.5 M.
That's terrific.
You did have
No, it's not. I didn't make the list.
Look at that.
I'm not better than JD Pickle.
JD Pickle owns you, but that's not the problem here.
You did have a tweet that surpassed 1 million views of some guy knocking random objects into a trash can.
That is true. And that was a very On3 tweet of mine because it was just stolen content that I wanted everyone to see. But at least I wasn't telling people that it was my own. That is different. Oh, look at this. Followers over time. Follows over. So it tells you, oh, this will be good. Which day did I lose the most followers? Okay. I lost 14 followers on Wednesday, May. I know what this was. I have a really good idea of what this was. Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Yep. So that was the I think that was the day after I did the my Creighton baseball tweet. People got really, really bad at it when Creighton beat Nebraska in baseball, and they didn't know that I am the play-by-play voice for the Creighton baseball team. They thought I was a Husker honk or something, and I said, "This is awesome, winners win," and people were not happy, and I lost 14 followers apparently that day. Hashtag stats.
Is 14 your high?
It looks like it. Yeah. High loss for the day.
I lost 12 after the Nebraska UCLA game.
In football?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were mad about the defense?
Yeah, I basically just said that they coach and
They were
things
scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, 2 weeks later,
did they happen to give up 7,000 points in the games that followed? I don't know. We'll find out.
Did they get fired after? Did they all get fired? Yeah. They may have. They may have.
It much like Joey's favorite former special teams coordinator. I don't think the problem just stops that John Butler's no longer involved.
Yeah, probably not. But this was a horrible, horrible situation yesterday because it was full of people who were talking about how many tweets they got on Twitter, which is just really one of the worst places to be. One of the worst places to be. Black Cat writes in on Twitter, Connor Happer has found his own advanced metrics.
Yeah.
Seriously, for the first time. That was incredible. Maybe I'll take a deeper dive
now,
in this.
aren't you happy that this has come up?
I love
One,
impressions.
you got to make fun of the topic.
Did you
Two,
see?
I got to show you some
this is
stuff.
cool. Did you see the AI graphic that I made yesterday? Impression Man.
No, I missed it.
I am Impression Man, and he was just a man who just got lots of impressions.
I guarantee Beef Man hates Impression Man.
Beef Man hates Impression Man. I am way more Beef Man than Impression Man. I'll tell you that much. I'm looking at some more stuff.
Division of man. And then it's just a pie chart of you of which you are. That'd be great.
Hey,
Be more advanced metrics for you.
80% of my audience uses iPhones.
Oh, now that's a stat.
That's what it's telling me.
That's a stat. What percentage of your audience are men?
Where's that at? 91.2.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Let's go find this here.
I love stats. They should do Ken Palm for my Twitter.
86.8.
The women love Schaefer more than they love Happer.
Unsurprised. What's your age range over here? I always enjoy this as well.
25 to 34, which is great. Dude,
Yeah,
perfect.
25%.
Yep. I'd like to keep it in between 25 to 54 if you catch my drift.
What about 65 plus?
Less interested.
They're way out or what?
Well, I'm certainly not, no. My thing is for 25 to 54-year-olds.
What is the country that has the highest percentage that's not the United States?
Japan.
Nigeria.
All right, way to go. Congratulations. Good job. Let's see. Sam writes in, can we talk about Karen McGee's bangers though? Every probably once or twice a week, Karen McGee gets one that just absolutely goes ham. It's got 1,000.
Just an incredible
retweets.
talent from Karen McGee.
I saw Karen at the
famously a Packers fan who is also happy about the Richard Bisaccia.
I don't think he's as happy as you are. I don't think Karen is as happy as you are.
What is happening here?
Just Karen, okay? Just Karen. Also, Sam, I wonder what Sam thinks about the Rich Bisaccia news. Sam's a Packers fan.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Please let us know. At Happer and Schaefer on Twitter. All right, so way to go. Congratulations to all of the people who made the coolest list ever. Top 20 impression people in college football.
Amazing.
We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 9 o'clock hour of Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. Another reminder that we have a bunch of Zone online contests going on at the moment. In fact, 4 of them. Journey, George Thorogood, and the Destroyers, Yachtly Crew, and Chris Stapleton. You could win tickets to each of those just by entering online right now, 1620thezone.com. I figured we'd at least, I'll ask the same question here that we asked to Sam sort of earlier. There is a Nebraska football practice.
A practice
on Saturday. There is a press conference regarding Nebraska football featuring the Nebraska football coach and coaches tomorrow. Spring ball begins tomorrow. Now, I fail to see the buzz and excitement for late winter ball, especially coming off of the season that they had, and given that there's basketball going on and things like that as well, which is not a bad thing at all, but it won't stop us from asking the question. Have you gone long enough without hearing him talk? Do you miss it? Are you ready for the football conversation to re-enter your life, or could you use some more time off?
It's interesting. I've never been on the sort of frame where I didn't need to hear from him. Like, I didn't need him to go away. I just found a lot of sort of what was being said to kind of fly in the face of what he had said previously, which then, if you give someone enough time to talk and they start contradicting themselves, you can go down some paths there where they don't probably want to go, and it isn't probably going to be helpful for whatever they're saying. So, there's that. Like, I don't excuse me, I don't have a lot of questions sitting here today as to like, oh, I really need this answered on February 19th or whatever it is.
No.
I have questions about
process. I'm just asking if there is. Do you have any fervor for this? Are you excited to hear about some of the things they've been working on?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff I'm interested in. Are you
excited to re-engage in the football conversation?
Excited is always a tough word because I'm never excited about spring football, but there's stuff that I'm like genuinely interested in, as in like, hey, why and how did you arrive on Corey Brown? What do you think about this will help you in your defensive line, which seems like it's a pretty critical part of the entire operation, and for you to have success in 2026?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I'm fascinated. I would love to get, I don't want Dana Holgerson's answer on this. I want Matt Rule to sort of explain what Dana went to him with as to the shopping list of what we need on offense. Because like that's, like Dana can talk about it in his own words. Matt Rule's the head coach. So he comes to you and it's like, we need this, this, and this. Like, how did you go about acquiring, doing whatever?
And apparently everybody agreed that they didn't need a running back.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's a whole conversation unto itself. But what I don't need is I don't need to hear how much they love the guys they already have in the room. We've heard that.
Well,
we're well aware. You loved them so much, you never played them. You loved them so much that Quentin Ives didn't play a single game against Big Ten teams. Yeah, that's a real thing.
We're gonna have a long next few months.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be part of this.
Because here is the source. Like, you would have to convince yourself on this, but people are like, where's the source of optimism? Like, what is there?
It's there. It really is there.
Do I have a reason to be excited about it? It's baked in this. You are betting on the thing that you are betting on this year is that you've brought a whole core of players back with some notable losses, obviously, an All-American running back. I mean, that's not insignificant. A 5-star transfer quarterback, not insignificant, right? And then regular graduation stuff, which I suppose would be thrown into as well. But in general, you are betting on a big core of younger players who played last year and should be expected to be better this year. It is, in essence, those same players that will take you to the next thing. And so if you don't want to hear like, well, I don't want to hear how good the guys who are coming back are, you got a long wait here.
Sure.
Because and I agree with you. There is really not much that can happen over the next several months that would, I don't think, get me gung-ho about this group. I will say, I'll push back a little bit. I think there's probably a little too much pessimism. I get it. I understand it. But there is not, like, it's not a dark pit of hopeless despair here.
We
like,
had this topic, right?
They're going to get better in a variety of different areas, especially where they cratered at the end of last year, I think. Now, nobody's going to be able to prove that to you until September, which is the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, here, if you don't want to hear anything, you're in control of that. You don't have to engage with it. Nobody makes you have to watch spring football or coverage or whatever. Now, we would love for you to stick around here on 1620 and listen to
we'll talk about it
all
occasionally.
of our coverage, but we're not going wall to wall spring football.
No, we might talk about college baseball
daily, as some people.
Matt thinks we have a college baseball segment simply because we talked about baseball 2 days in a row.
It might have been 3 if you count the Brunts interview.
Dang.
So now
maybe we do have a daily
that's
segment.
a streak. But I had mentioned this to you in January and sort of the idea of like, okay, what would be reasons things could go well for Nebraska? I think they're absolutely out there.
Yep.
And the simplest way, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but the simplest way that it does go well for Nebraska is you get the same sort of boost that when Tony White showed up with his defense and Nebraska was playing at a pretty high level defensively in 2023, but now you pair it up with what you would expect to be a better version of an offense than what you were running in 2023. Now, is that getting you to 10 wins in the college football playoff? I don't think so. Could it get you to 8 wins in this schedule? Yes, I do think it could.
Ooh, topic alert. What is the win total that makes you feel good?
I don't know that exists for people.
Whoa.
In the same way that, like, like if you asked,
I mean, it certainly it wasn't whatever they got to last year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they haven't hit that win total to me personally in any of the 3 seasons so far. They've underachieved in my mind in all 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
so like, what is overachieving? What is, or
I don't even know, like,
what is achieving?
I don't even know what achieving is for 2026 because I still don't have a feel for what I think is about to happen or going to happen or anything else.
Yeah. And I think
I have an idea of like, we can do this. Maybe we do it on tomorrow. We can give our record predictions before the start of the spring, can revisit it after the start of the spring, can revisit it again in the summer before the start of fall camp and go from there and see what changes. But right now it'd be really hard for me to sit here and be anything other than 6-6.
Yeah.
Maybe I could talk myself into 7-5.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I can't by the end of the summer, but usually you sit with something long enough, you can come up or you take some of the rust off of it.
People are, the schedule thing obviously is there too. The schedule is very difficult.
It's less about who they play. You and I, this was a vintage hallmark of 2021 when we did radio the last time for multiple hours a day. It is almost always less about what is across from Nebraska than what they do to themselves in every single game.
That's why I called the other people in the offseason schedule fear mongers. Now, don't get me wrong, the schedule is difficult, but like your feeling on how they're going to perform in the next season is not about the schedule. It's about how you feel about the football program as of right now. If I felt better about where Nebraska was at, I'd pick them to, like, I just blindly pick them to win 8 games, or I blindly pick them to win 9 games. And people are like, well, I don't feel very good. In their head, they're thinking, well, I don't feel very good about this right now. And then out loud, they say, oh my God, the schedule. And then, that the prediction comes out of that. But it's really how you feel. I hate to be your therapist here, but it's really about how you feel about the program.
And here's the other thing that happens all the time when you look at the schedule. You have no idea what is going to happen in the weeks leading up to the game as you look at the schedule in the months leading up to the actual start of the season. You never would have predicted that Nebraska would have gone into Minnesota and didn't just stub its toe, shot off its entire foot in that game. Now, you might have predicted before the game, as some very smart people like me did, Nebraska won't win.
Very smart.
And that would be based off of just whatever rationale you had.
Would
it
you have-
doesn't mean that you thought that the schedule was tough
Would you
because
have,
they had a Friday game in Minnesota.
would you have thought that that by the time that Nebraska played Penn State, they would have cratered into the earth and fired their
No.
coach and still got blasted in that game? Probably would. Probably. Would.
I certainly would not have thought that.
So stuff happens.
And stuff happens.
Stuff happens, and you don't have to be a schedule fearmonger like some.
Be like
folks are out
Joey.
there.
Be a schedule enthusiast.
A schedule enthusiast.
Yes, sir.
Really, really is. And
Was there more NFL schedule news that
Oh,
came
yeah.
out
Yes,
last
we
night?
did.
Joey was
We
saying
did.
stuff, and I was like, I don't think we're going to talk about this. So what's the schedule news?
It's the 49ers playing in Mexico City. So they got 2 international games.
What?
They're playing in Australia to start the season. Then they'll play a home game in Mexico City early December.
Just going to go ahead and write the 49ers down as a bus team for 2026
Wow, you think when they go international,
Minnesota
they're
could be
bus?
playing a game in Mexico City.
against the 49ers.
Yes.
I
They are
think
slated to play at the 49ers.
they
They got the
will-
Broncos, Raiders, and Dolphins as well. So
Yeah.
there's options.
I think they're going to avoid an international game this year after doing the 2 for last year.
Yeah.
I think they bought themselves a 1-year reprieve.
I
The
think
Vikings?
I think that would make sense.
I think they have to pay some sort of price for killing all those birds.
They pay the price by drafting JJ McCarthy. I mean,
What if we found out the
they pay the
NFL
price every year of their existence? What are you talking about?
the NFL was working behind the scenes because they felt like they had killed too many birds and they made them.
They
draft
paid the
JJ
price by
McCarthy.
opening that stadium and then going into Philadelphia, playing the Eagles and Nick Foles and getting hammered in that game.
That
in
was
the NFC Championship.
that was an eagle who got payback on behalf of all birds.
They paid the price to the Falcons in advance of the stadium in 1998. They paid the price.
The Vikings have paid their dues. Just give
They're not a plane.
give Mike Schaefer success right now, or he's going to lose it. He's going to lose it. John writes in on the text line, Nebraska's going to get better, Connor, like Sims got better. Damn it. He got me again. Ryan Delaware has a couple things. He would prefer more time off until August. He also says this from before, and it's directed at Joey. I think Joey's Bisaccia hate is crazy. The man got the Raiders to the playoffs in 2021. If the Packers special teams is bad, maybe it's the players. Maybe the players suck. Look in the mirror, Joey.
They also had a lot of injuries, but I was talking about losses that happened at the very end, and most of it was the special teams unit. Couple field goals to tie game, a missed extra point, onside kick against the Bears, 2 missed field goals in the playoffs.
At least Rich Bisaccia wasn't killing birds that we know of.
Thankfully.
It again sounds like Jordan Love needed to finish with more touchdown than field goals.
Mustache Adam writes in on our actual
is true.
topic. Achieving for Nebraska in 2026 is 6 wins. Win the games you're supposed to and 1 coin flip. The bar is set to get a bowl game, and you have to keep that going bare minimum. Oh, that is a sad state of affairs, but he might be right.
He might be right. He might be right.
A lot of time to discuss it. We'll be back, and we'll have a chat with Lauren Michelson, who's on her way back from Iowa City after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Happer and Schaefer back with you on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Lauren Michelson from KETV. Good morning, Lauren. How are you?
Good morning. I'm hoping you guys can wake me up a little bit this morning. It was a late night.
Okay, so yeah,
still in Iowa City.
Okay, you're still there. That was our curiosity because I don't know. We couldn't figure out how you were going to make it work with travel. We almost figured that you were going to be like in Des Moines or in that horrible stretch in between here and Des Moines.
One of the Iowa rest stops pulled over to do the interview because you value us so much.
Exactly. I would have absolutely done that. Instead, I slept in a little and I'm just sitting in my hotel room and we'll get on the road right after we wrap up.
Okay. This is you have a long afternoon and
a bit of a haul.
Yeah. I will maintain, Lauren, that what you're about to experience in a couple hours, the stretch of I-80 west of Des Moines until you get to the Nebraska state line is among the worst drives ever because you are so like you feel like you're close. You feel like you're closer than you should be, and yet it's very far away, and it's all the same. It's the rolling hills and the wind turbines the entire time. Horrible stretch.
Yeah, it's awful. I do it the opposite way to Kansas City all the time, and it feels like it's cut in half that way, and it's not. So
it's amazing.
It'll be fine. We got a lot to think about and a lot of podcasts to listen to, and trying to make sense of what the hell happened last night.
Yep.
Well, I guess just kind of start there. What from your viewfinder do you think happened last night when you were down there in Iowa City?
It's like beating a dead horse at this point. Like it's another game defined by physicality, or for Nebraska, lack thereof. Iowa is a more physical team. It was kind of unbelievable. I mean, they've pushed them around so much. They're in their face. They're challenging passes. At this point, it's like teams know what to do to shut down Nebraska's offense, and Iowa, had the game plan. Hoiberg made a comment post game last night that really is cause for concern in my opinion. But he said something like, "When you see pressure, our eyes should light up," and I did not see that, or we did not handle that well.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just like are you seeing your guys not want it enough? Like, where is this? We know there's some lack of just athleticism in certain areas. Iowa, that was just a lot, and there's no reason Bennett stirs for how outstanding he is. But 25 of those 57, like that come on, that should not happen. And so this is something he needs to figure out, because if this happens in the NCAA tournament, that elusive win kind of terrifies me if that's going to happen or not.
It's definitely more of a concern now than it was a few weeks ago. How much of it for you, Lauren, is the quality of opponents that they have been playing, which is certainly, it's been a long stretch here for Nebraska. The 4 out of these last 6 that they've lost. Those 4 teams are really, really good. Iowa was a gettable one, obviously, last night. How much of it is that, and how much of it is just internal for them and how they're handling things?
You cut out for a second, but did you ask how much of it is the physicality thing versus internal?
The schedule, like the quality of team versus the internal.
Yeah. Well, so this is the thing. Like Michigan was, game plan the same way against them, and like kind of sparked like how do you pressure them, and they're going to have difficulties finding open looks and have to be more inside, and they still can't get shots inside for some reason. So, but they competed against Michigan. So I would say it's the opponent, but at this point it's just a trend, and I think it's a little internal too. Michigan, I wasn't concerned afterwards. It's gotten increasingly worse with Illinois and with Purdue and now with Iowa. And I don't know what gives. And Nebraska needs more out of their stars. Brink Mass was 0 from 3 last night, 4 of 1 from the pressure around him. And I'm watching him, and I mean, he's a great athlete, and he has so much talent, but I just don't think he is giving Nebraska what they need from him right now. And so they need him to step up, and everyone else around him as well. They can't rely only on Price, who keeps getting targeted every single game.
Yep.
What was the perspective from some of the players after the game?
We got phone problems today. Yeah. Shout out to Iowa City, their garbage cell service. Joey, maybe try and hang up and call her back real quick. If we can get her back, that'd be good. Classic Iowa. Doesn't even, I could talk to somebody in London right now and it'd be fine. There would be no.
Who are we calling in London? Who do we know is in London?
There'd be no concern whatsoever. I'd call somebody in Milan Cortina. We could call Mike Tirico and it'd be like, hello, I'm Mike Tirico. And you'd be able to hear him talk for hours and hours and hours. And yet somebody in Iowa City, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not Lauren's fault. It's Iowa.
It's always Iowa's fault.
Did you see on the broadcast the other day of the women's game when they played on Monday, they were doing like a corn comparison, corn-parison, if you will?
How did it do?
Nebraska was worse than Iowa in the three categories.
Wow.
I don't know how they got to that conclusion, but anyway, we welcome Lauren back now. Sorry, Lauren, I'm blaming Iowa for this.
I'm going to blame Iowa too. I don't know. The trend.
So I wondered from you, how was the environment last night? Like, I know they put kind of a lot into it. Was it full? It didn't sound particularly great on TV. Like, what did Iowa do from an environment standpoint last night?
Oh, it was a good environment.
Okay.
I mean, like, as hostile, in my opinion, as it comes. Like, they were just, I mean, of course, it was not a warm welcome back for poor Bryce. And I mean, they were on him from the jump, yelling F-bombs and just chirping him all game. There was more F Bryce Stanford than there was like cheering on Iowa, which was interesting. And so, yeah, a lot of high emotions. It was pretty packed in there. There was, obviously, as expected, a pretty good showing of Nebraska fans. But, the Iowa-Nebraska hatred does run pretty deep, and it was pretty evident last night. I'm sure you saw the court storming.
Mm-hmm.
That was very interesting. I escaped that unscathed, which was great. But, yeah, it was a good environment. It just, it was interesting that they stormed the court for that game, but that's okay.
You didn't knock anybody's phone out of their hands, did you?
I did see that. No, I didn't. I avoided that. Yeah, that's
probably for the best.
Caught on camera now.
Yeah,
probably for the best.
Yeah.
So you head back today. Nebraska football starts on Thursday. Are you going to be? Well, they start technically on Saturday, but Matt Rule is talking on Thursday. Are you going to be at the press conference? And if you are, what do you want to learn from Matt Rule after a few weeks where we haven't heard much?
Yeah, I don't know. Either Andy or I will be there. You guys, state wrestling is going on.
Yeah, it's a busy. In your for you sneaking off to Iowa City. You're coming back right into the busy period.
And for your sake, I hope that you go west instead of trying to get downtown, where you'll never be able to park or achieve, getting to the actual building.
Honest to God, I'd have better luck walking from KTV anywhere at this
point. You would.
But yeah. No, it is so weird that spring ball is starting. Like, it just feels, and things feel so different because, I mean, for the first time ever, pretty much, I mean, since I've covered this program, but the attention's not on Nebraska football for the spring season. And really it kind of feels like no one really cares right now, which is like the most unique feeling in this market and fan base ever. But no, I'm excited to hear from Rule. There's a lot. I'm so curious to hear him break down his thoughts on Calandria. I think from a receiver room standpoint, a running back room standpoint, there's a lot of questions, probably a lot more from the running backs. Who is he seeing is there's a clear top two. You have Mekhi Nelson, you have Isaiah Mosey. Is there a clear number one? I mean, I don't think they can do what they did last year and have Emmett Johnson having the lion's share of carries. I don't think these two young bucks can be the guys to do that, but who knows? So yeah, there's a lot of questions, hearing him talk about some of these transfers and additions. Quasi Gilmore, there's a lot, but it just kind of feels like we're going to get there and get through it and ask our questions. And then it's kind of well, how, are we going to be able to be watching practice? These are the questions from a media standpoint that I want to know right now.
We may know soon. All right, Lauren, we'll let you go and let you get out on the road. Enjoy that long drive and all the pods in Michael's podcast bracket that you'll listen to.
Oh, yes. Thank you, guys.
See you later. That's Lauren Michelson from KETV from crap Iowa City with their crap phone service.
Crap fan.
I did the wrong one. And they're crap fans.
Yeah, the F-bombing Sanford thing was kind of, and then it turned into F Nebraska. The court storming though, I mean, I thought that was going to happen. I figured that was going to happen.
There was a lot of like Nebraska media, Nebraska personality types, a lot of texts from friends that were like, are they storming the court? It's like,
why would
the
they
top
not?
10 team. I mean, Nebraska stormed the field against Colorado in a football game.
Why do people have such a problem with storming the court?
They stormed the field.
I don't particularly love it. Having watched like working people get nailed and have concussions and everything else.
We don't like when people get
thing.
nailed. It enhances the danger, that's for sure. But more times than not, everybody's going to get out of there, okay.
It's fine. Like I don't.
Why is the court storming topic has been such a topic over the last 2 years? I'm like, I don't care. Storm whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. I didn't think they needed to storm against Michigan State.
Storm it with respect.
But
who stormed against? Oh, who stormed against
Nebraska?
Michigan?
When they did earlier in
January. Yeah, there you go.
That was like where the whole topic came from again this year.
Well, I guess it reignited it this year, but It was a huge deal. Whatever, storming everything. Yeah. I remember once storming the court twice for a Creighton game against Long Beach State.
I remember storming a court for the UNO men's basketball game against South Dakota State several years ago.
Court stormed?
Yes.
And they added 0.2 seconds back on the clock. So I got it stormed twice in one game.
See, same here.
As a student, I was involved in it, and my largest takeaway is just a horrific smell.
Which game?
As you get into that scrum. So Nebraska played Oregon at CHI.
Yeah.
And I was there, and there was I don't know why there was. I don't even think Oregon was ranked. Maybe they were,
but it was Oregon.
So there was a court storming with that.
That was back in 2008 when it was the Quest Center.
Right around there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't. I can't. This game came up several weeks ago, and I can't for the life of me remember why they played there. I don't know why they played there.
No idea.
It's just a random like, let's play in Omaha. I tried mark our territory. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't think it was like any sort of forward-thinking Doc Sadler brainchild thing. I'll tell you that much. That wasn't him.
Doc had no opinions on that.
It could have been the then, administrative head of basketball, Mark Boehm.
Mark Boehm. Haven't heard his name in a long time.
Could have been that. But yeah, I don't remember the content. I was that one. I don't recall any at Devaney that I can think of. And then from that point, no, I
was part of one at that Indiana game that I talked about where Jorge Brian Diaz made those field goals or those free throws.
I just don't think there was any others that I can recall from Devaney that I participated in. I just remember the smell was horrifyingly bad when I'm sitting first or second row off the baseline. So
that's what makes it great.
I'm in the thing.
I almost got.
So then you gotta wait. What I remember from it though, and what always kills me, especially as a media member, and now where I sit and I like watching it disperse, when it gets done. And like people slowly are like, okay, well, that's fit. It's a way we're just gonna kind of file to the exit.
You hang out for a little while on the court.
It's sort of like watching people have the realization that the moment is over and then it's time to go.
That was how it was when Nebraska beat Iowa in women's basketball a couple years ago. People just kind of there was like 40 people who really stormed the court, and then there was like a couple, maybe like 800 more who were like, I think I'll go out there because everybody else is out there. That one was
I'm just gonna stand here.
I almost got murdered at the Creighton, Kansas one last year. Because I was right on the baseline basically, and I was like, all right, it's happening. So I turned around and my thing was I was gonna try and get all the people storming by me on my phone. That lasted for like 0.8 seconds before I realized I have to go with the flow instead of against the flow. And so I got in there, and they do a good job of keeping people safe out there because they got the rope guys, and
they were prepared.
Yeah.
The football field one is genuinely more funny because it results in like people having to make that jump down, usually from wherever they're sitting, and it just and then some stadiums the way they're set up, like Yeah, if you're going through an SEC stadium, you're having to go through hedges, or you're having to
I
go
was
over
gonna say.
You're
the
jumping
fence
over
inside
a
the fence,
giant wall
or
Yes.
whatever it is. Like it's more hilarious in that regard. But that's also where I watched my my photographer when I was at the Daily Nebraskan get absolutely truck sticked. He's shooting this
like a bird in a
and
window.
just like a bird going into the Viking stadium. Except he wasn't moving, the other guy was moving, and then it would be if the stadium got knocked over. So it'd be a really big bird, I guess.
Yeah.
He took like a knee directly into the camera lens, which then goes straight back into his eye. He had this massive like black eye. Basically, we couldn't like let him sleep because we were worried about a concussion. Like it was not great.
All right, quick break. We'll be back, round things out. We'll talk a little Creighton tonight as they voluntarily walk into a hornet's nest in the great province of Connecticut. It's not a state to me.
There's only 49 states.
It's the 49 states, and Connecticut is not one of them.
You can call it a colony if you want.
Yeah, I guess it is a colony.
It's one of the original colonies.
The colony of Connecticut.
There.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. antagonistic tweet from Sam on Twitter. Schaefer, this is what watching your team win a Super Bowl is like. After about an hour, it's like, well, that was neat. Anyway, it is weird. It's very odd watching your team win things. You're like, I imagine this moment would be better. But the real beauty of the moment is that you get to carry it for the rest of your life. It is not as hotly intense in the moment. That's why I'm a little concerned for Jack Mitchell. Like when Nebraska wins an NCAA tournament game, it's going to be less than he expected because they'll definitely win an NCAA tournament game.
Mhm.
It's going to be less than what he expected, and I think he's going to be disappointed by the whole experience.
So, I mean, I've had this conversation or some variety of it of like, what does that moment seem like it's going to be? Is it better if it's just like a 20-point, ho-hum win? Is it, a buzzer? Like all of these different things. And it's like, it will happen. And then here's what's the important part. They play again in like another day.
Yeah.
Like that's the part of it.
But the great part is after you win, you get to say we've won. You
Right.
can't say that we haven't won anymore. That's the best part of it.
Yes. You get to check the box and then we don't have to talk about the box anymore.
No
Like,
more bucks.
It doesn't need to be this like visceral, I will remember where I stood when it happened thing.
You might.
Depending on how it plays out. But if Nebraska can be a higher seed and just win a simple game, that would be nice too. Granted, all they do are win by double digits or lose. So what are you going to do?
I hope and pray that for everybody who's built this moment up to be the biggest thing ever, I hope it achieves all your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
I really hope it does. Tonight, we have the Blue Jays of Creighton University. They are on the road. They have lost 5 games out of 6, and they are walking into a hornet's nest at UConn, who has decided that they would like to do all of their promos on this night. $2 beer, shirts and towels, and all these different things. Dan Hurley's is appearing in videos telling people to bring back UConn fans the way they used to be and things like that. They're pulling out all the stops for Creighton tonight, who, by the way, is 13-13 and is really not a contender for the NCAA tournament. And but UConn is bored and they decide they want to pull out all the stops tonight. I'm hoping for not a complete disaster.
What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that looks like. It's kind of a know it when you see it situation.
When they played at home, there was like, they were hanging around, and then with 3 minutes left to go in the half, it's just like the whole thing fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely fell apart in a way that when you see it happen, there's no real chance that it's going to get put back together. Like having watched enough Nebraska basketball and be in those moments, and it's just like, yeah, there's no second half comeback.
The wheels are off.
Yeah, it is just like that got bad, and it's going to get worse.
Would like a nice start, maybe?
Yeah.
How about a nice start? How about you just shut those Connecticut people up for a little while? Just for a little while.
It would be
make
fun.
Hurling wine.
It would be fun, I suppose, for Creighton people if like they just can't. What if they just shot well randomly? Just have like a nice night shooting. You're hanging around, like you put a little pressure on them. You're making them gulp those $2 beers a little bit faster.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
That sounds
Maybe
right.
Trout goes off like Rogge against the 4th-ranked Villanova.
The UConn version of me, who's also named Connor, gets a little freaked out.
UConner.
UConn Connor.
No, just UConner.
UConner gets really freaked out. He thinks all of a sudden that Greg McDermott is his dad, and then ultimately UConn still wins probably. But there's this moment of trepidation. That's what I'm looking for. By the way, Creighton 9-4 all time against against UConn. Just for the record, 9-4. That is the record. 9-4.
9-4.
You can hear that game tonight at 6:00 on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg. You could also watch on TNT tonight.
Got Spiro Deeds and Grant Hill.
Spiro Deeds is back in the house.
Mr. Deeds
in Grant.
Wait,
Hill.
it's Deeds?
Spiro Deeds, right?
I thought it was Deeds.
Maybe it
Spiro
is.
Deeds.
Maybe it
Mr.
is.
Deeds.
I have no idea.
Mr. Deeds.
I know it's Grant Hill, and I'm continually wondering how he feels about all the Creighton games.
He gets what he gets.
There's going to be another TNT Creighton game next Saturday. That's when they play Providence. So we'll see if Grant Hill makes a trip to Omaha. Maybe his first trip since the Elite Eight game between Kansas and Duke.
What a game that was.
That was fun.
That was fantastic.
That was a fun atmosphere.
I was sitting in the hockey press box.
I was so happy to see
Grayson
Grayson Allen
Allen have a shot.
missed a buzzer beater.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That
Grayson
was
Allen
awesome.
Yeah. Section 220 boys are here. A nice start and a nicer finish, baby. 10-4, you mean, after tonight. That's right. Section 220 boys. Get them going. All right. That will do it for us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is indeed where you can find it. Schaefer is dipping out because he hates Matt, and the crossover is coming up next.